Hey everybody, it is me, the Red Mage. Welcome to the 10th point Canadian Highlander weekly series. We've now beginning week 7. And joining me on the line today, as he's want to do, we have Lowman, who's gonna help me up with commentary for a bit. How Lowman? How goes?
Hey, what's going on, Red Mage and folks watching? Glad to be here today. I hope we're on the 7th season and not the 7th week, because, oh my goodness, this has been going on a lot less long than I thought it had been. Good to
No,
see y'all.
yes, this is the 7th season. You're right. We had our big finals for season 6 last week, and now it's time to start the upcoming event.
Yeah, just glad to be here. I hope we see some good magic today. Hopefully we'll see some interesting decks. We have some folks who don't typically play. I think ADecay 4 is a new player in the event. Reiyu is on again, off again, but haven't seen them in a while. So should be interesting to see some new blood in the format.
Yeah, we can hope to see some cool stuff coming from this deck, coming from the decks. We have 11 players today. I tried to make it 12 and not have a bye, but without too much success. So I suppose we have our players ready to go. I have the pairings ready. Just a couple of housekeeping reminders before we get started. You want to join the event? Exclamation point Discord. Get to the Discord, and then we have a tournament announcements channel that gets all of the information that you need about. Basically, you will get all the information that you need in terms of signing up to the event for next week. Usually at this point, I plug a next poll command that gets you to the tournament sign up for next week. We moved their signups to either hub for now. We're trying out a new way to do signups, so we're not gonna have a Google form, but I'm gonna post the either hub deck list sometimes in the middle of the event. Also, as a reminder, we are a Twitch affiliate channel. If you feel like throwing a sub our way, it would mean the world to us. It helps us doing things like having prizes for the end of the season. We just finished handing out almost $100 in prizes to our season finalists, and we would love to do so. And we'd love to do so for the season as well. And having a little bit of subscription cash helps with that, especially if it's your Prime subscription. Jeff Bezos doesn't need that money. You can throw it our way. It's fine, or you can throw it to somebody else's way. It should go somewhere. I'm rambling. Let's get this tournament started. We have, as I was saying earlier, we have pairings ready to go.
Yeah, and folks who are watching, if you're unfamiliar with Canadian Highlander and this is your first time watching, I know there's only 70 in there, and some of you are probably participants in the event. Canadian Highlander is 100 card singleton, which is essentially vintage banlist legal, with the exception of Luris. We're going to be playing it on MTGO. If this is something that you're curious about trying out or playing yourself, highly recommend you use the Discord link, which has been shipped inside the chat window of the Twitch. And check out the Discord. The sign-up instructions will be in there. Everything you need to know from Aether Hub to, deck selection and the metagame will be available in there, or folks who know about it will be available and around. So who are we checking out first, Red Mage?
I like Gideon starting with ADecay and Necropotence. They are players that, ADecay is a new player. Necro is somebody that we don't get to feature super often, so largely because she was absent from the end of the last season. So let's go back there. I'm down.
So I see we're pretty much alone in the booth to talk a few metagame things right now. I think Evios is going to be on a new deck today. A little bird told me. I played them a couple times. They've been testing out white-green, which makes a little bit of sense because it kind of goes over the top of the Death and Taxes list and the Red Deck wins list we saw in the finals last time. They were eliminated round 1 with a Blue Moon. Necropotence, my guess would be, because I played them actually recently as well, is they're probably going to be on an Academy-style list. So big mana, Tolarian Academy, a lot of artifacts, a lot of soul rings, all that going on. ADecay, I think I played once, but I failed to recall what they were on. I believe it was also an Academy list. So we may be watching an Academy mirror. I think it was Academy, which will be an interesting matchup. Feel like Rochambeau. Just biggest mana first wins. And then Brahms, not sure. Maybe they're still on taxes. I don't know if they stuck with it or not. Wolfgang, I have a hard time doubting that they will be on anything but a red aggressive deck today, which we'll probably catch up with later. Red aggro, P good in the format, very good deck. Also very reasonably priced if price point's an issue and you're looking to enter the format. Medium red this week. Cool. Good deal. You don't have to say it out loud though. Like everyone else in the booth, I guess you're listed in, so I should probably keep it down on what folks are playing. But yeah,
all right.
Medium red's a cool one. All right, so we've got the game up. We'll slowly get.
MTGO decided to be a jerk and just change all my presets in terms of where the window is located. So we might have things not positioned super well, but outside of that,
do what you got to do. Like we'll be fine with how it is. I mean, you probably had an auto update, and the auto updater.
Oh, Necro said that she doesn't have a hand cam today. Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Okay. Well, I can tell you right now for the audience out there, Necro is more than likely on an Academy deck. I think it's fairly likely.
Oh, I want to watch somebody else.
Okay, we're gonna check another game. Okay, yeah. We're gonna get hand cams.
Well, you said, is there anybody that piques your interest?
No, grab whatever. Like I'll watch whatever. They're all interesting games to me.
Well, let's watch Evius and his newfangled blue-white.
Green-white. Green-white. Celeste.
Yeah, you know, blue-green.
It's kind of like Selesnya taxes. All right, so the game's underway.
Yeah.
We have a couple mana dorks killed. Looks like blue-red. It looks like their old deck. Except Zannty's got an Enigma Drake, so they have some tempo.
Oh, Arakasi is... that's convenient. You still could to enter...
Although, what is interesting about this board position right now is that there is a Dryad Militant in play, which is a card that is actually exceptionally good versus the Blue Moon style decks because it will limit their delve capability and their graveyard size. And against these tempo lists, it'll limit the size of cards like Enigma Drake or the Shimra. Now, Crackling Drake a little bit less so because that counts exiled cards as well. But losing your bin to Dryad Militant can be problematic. Let's see an Aether Vial, which is probably going to work some overtime until it can be dealt with by an Abrade. But it does look like Evios may be a little bit limited on their mana production as of right now. I think one more land would probably fix that. But Aether Vial also helps, obviously, get spells down if you need to be pressuring. But a 1/4 here is going to hold the board back pretty well.
Yeah, just letting Zannty know that if he hadn't shared his hand, that's awesome because we ended up changing our mind.
We're fine. Yeah, once I mean it'll come up, but I mean let's just stick with it. I mean if we don't have hand cams, I think we can still commentate fairly well on the game state as it stands right now. I mean right now like Evios' biggest liability is mana drops. They're going to be basically riding this vial and hoping not to draw low drop 2-drop creatures. Now they've ratcheted up to 2, and then they're hoping to hit any basic land, any untapped land, so they can flip this Field of Ruin to fix their colors for follow-on spells. And the Dryad Militant is doing some work against this Crackling Drake, although Crackling Drake as a 1/4 still blocks a Dryad Militant, still blocks a Charming Prince, so it does hold the ground, which is an odd thing to say for a flying X4.
Yeah, you expect it to do better than just holding the ground, but you know, if that's what it does,
That's what it's doing right now. I mean, that Dryad is gonna stop its upward mobility in size and scale, but it does hold the ground back. It's kind of a good wall. I've actually been building with a lot of walls.
Well, recently. The Dryad doesn't, though, right? Because the Crackling Drake counts exile.
Well, the Crackling Drake in hand, which now we see, we didn't see before, is just fine with a Dryad Militant.
Oh, it was an Enigma Drake, sorry.
The card in play is Enigma Drake, but we do see the Crackling Drake in play. And the interesting thing about the Field of Ruin, if they do opt to use it, is it will fix their mana. No, their mana's already fixed. They're going to have Mountain this turn and probably just dump this Crackling Drake on the board, would be my guess. I could see going for the Jace, but I don't think the Jace per se puts you in a better spot. I think I'd rather get pressure down first than try to use the Jace as a very expensive bounce spell to try to win a race, personally. But it looks like they're going to go for the Fairy Vandal. I guess at a minimum, this does allow you to leave up the Mishra's Factory to block and tie up their mana production. But more than likely, they're just going to look to sweep the Mishra's Factory away. EOT here, Price of Progress. Not going to be a great win in this matchup. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Waiting on Evios's hand. For now, I will just take the time to fix the text on screen.
No. Oh, you're good, man. Do what you got to do. You don't need to explain it. I'm good here without a hand cam. Yeah. I'm good. So yeah, the Tireless Tracker is going to be the most problematic card as it stands right now, in my opinion. That's going to be the one that allows them to kind of dredge through cards effectively. Hey, Red Mage, you got some ambient noise coming through on your end.
I do. How?
Like a lot of clicking and like shuffling around. I don't know. You know?
I'm just clicking and stuff. Yeah, that's.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know that I can stop my keyboard from me. No,
if you're good, if you're good, you're good. All right, so they have managed to hit their mana sources now. There is a slight splash in Evios's deck for a couple cards. Lingering Souls being one of them, like the flashback on Lingering Souls, but they're predominantly a white-green deck.
Are they playing Mythos of Nether?
I don't believe they are, no. I believe it's just Lingering Souls, but I could be incorrect on that. I think I played against the deck like 4 times, maybe 5 times now. Maybe more than that, actually. I don't know, I played them a couple days back, and they were like building up the list. And in the beginning, it started off as more of like it's more of a mid-range list. I mean, it topped off at Primeval Titan. And I think it's gotten a lot lower at this point, a lot lower to the ground. Okay, so they're going to get in there with their thing. Can this be double blocked by the factory plus the... Yeah, it can, by the Shimra. Well, the question becomes, do you want to block this, or do you want to just get the attack in and trade off on... Oh, they can trade favorably with this. All right, yeah, this thing chumps and it trades off. I thought they had a double block to do this. They can trade off favorably. I thought it was, for whatever reason, a fire elemental size. That was a 5/4. So that's actually a pretty favorable exchange for them. It also gets rid of one of their non-basics for Price of Progress, which actually right now is not... It's pretty live. Can do 6. I think at this point, though, I'm just looking to slam the Drake. I think personally I would have looked to slam the Drake last turn, but I would have gotten Palace Jailered. So it wasn't per se correct to do so. You also get a little bit of equity on this Fairy Vandal. You're going to get to bump it back up to a 2/3, which is kind of nice. And I don't see their Exiled Zone. I see there's 3 in it, so I assume those are probably all spells, which means, yeah, it's a 4/4. It's P-big. Getting a land there is not exactly what you want to see, but seeing extra cards is not going to be an issue at this point. And honestly, this kind of... I mean, depending on what Evios has left in hand, if they're sitting on like a Winds of Abandon and they're trying to ramp up to that, it may be good for them still. But while you can get the Monarchy back at this point, it does seem like these flyers are going to be slightly problematic. They're going to be able to get it back, and they're also just big. Mox, not the draw you want to see at this point, unless you're really hoping for that 6th mana source. My guess is you're not.
Well, you gotta cast that Titan at some point. Probably it's
not in the deck
anymore.
Yeah, that Swords is a heck of a card. You can definitely draw into that one off a clue. I think you want to. And this is also not bad. It helps grow these threats to a point where they can do 4 power and trade favorably with most things on the board. But I think right now we're just going to see a Swords on the Crackling Drake.
Yeah, Crackling Drake is a super scary card if it's less scary in this deck. Sometimes in Standard, you see this card, it's like, oh, this is a 12/4. Nice, I'm dead.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing with these tempo-style blue-red shells. Is like I think it's the only 4-drop I tend to run in my tempo shell. I don't think I run Jace in my tempo shell. I may run Cryptic. I can't remember, but I don't think I run Jace in that shell. It's very lean. I mean, then there's like Arclight Phoenix, which, you know, if your deck's built to run it, can be good, but it's really not really a 4-drop. But Crackling Drake, yeah, I mean, the thing, you know, well, very expensive is a good card with pitch counter magic. You know, if you can keep them on the back foot until turn 4, drop this thing, and then add pitch counter magic for the next most relevant thing, you can really put them in a bad spot. But as it stands right now, like, I feel like Zannty's kind of dropping off to the back foot again. That is an Ojutai's or Jamoka's command.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bolt, which is nice. And you're probably just going to use it to kill off the jailer, would be my guess.
Zannty already got the head that was exiled by the jailer back, right?
Yes, they got back their Fairy Vandal, which grew to a 2/3 based on the card draw off of Crackling Drake. All right, so they kill off the 2/2. I guess maybe they're worried about Revelark or something along those lines. Now, this Price of Progress still could... Oh, okay. That card does have reach as well, but it's not going to be big here. But
yeah, it's only
it gets big.
Now.
Gets big pretty fast. They want to block. Okay, so they want to protect the monarchy is what they're trying to do here. Jamoka's command is going to allow them to knock out one of the flyers.
Yeah, that card does have that mode as well. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
Jamoka's command is also interesting versus Price of Progress because if you save it versus Price of Progress, if it's going to end up being relevant, it can actually prevent all the damage from Price of Progress as well.
And it was face up, so Zannty knows about it. So he's probably gonna try not to feed the Price of Progress.
My guess would be like I don't know that how much Evios knows of their deck. I don't think I would play around Price of Progress with their deck. I think I would look to win the board. Is what I would do. You're 21 life, so it's not like it's like that much of a threat at this point in time. It's one of those cards that like can grow over time. That's not a bad one. It blocks. It makes things on the ground pretty tough to deal with. All right, that's a wasteland. I guess they can just waste the Castle Vantress if they really want to resolve their next spell, which we know to be Jamoka's command and a card we don't know. Chromebox not a bad one to see off the top, although, all right, so they're going to blow that thing up. I don't think there's a point in casting Price now. It's going to be for, yeah. I was going to say, I think I would just wait on it. Don't think it does you much good here, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that you...
Recruiter's really bad for you because they have a Vial on 3, and we know they're going to be drawing that EOT. And they can Vial it in on their OP's turn for whatever's most relevant in their deck. Which I assume they have some hits, like Gaddock Teagues and whatnot. Actually, I know for a fact.
Flicker Wisp to flicker the Recruiter of the Guard and exile something else, and...
Well, flicker the Palace Jailer. That'd be the
yes, to flicker the Palace Jailer is what I meant, sorry, yes.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, you could do Recruiter as well. You know, it's not unreasonable, but they're not really a flicker deck. I don't know if they are running the Wisp or not. That one I'm not positive on.
Yeah, I mean, Flicker Wisp ends up being a head. It's just powerful enough on its own. I could see that being included if you are running, especially if you're running the cards like Recruiter of the Guard and Palace Jailer. But yeah, that would also
not a good block here. Jamoka's command also has another interesting component to its mode. You can actually use it against Pyroclasm style effects to prevent damage to a bunch of creatures.
Yeah.
Which is kind of also interesting if you're expecting a lot of like red-based mass removal. Not a card that sees a ton of play. That's why I keep on bringing it up because it's an interesting one.
It does a lot of things. Yeah, it's the card was dominated standard in its time, but now it doesn't. You don't see that as much.
What do you think of casting Jace here and bouncing the Selfless Spirit? I think I like it.
Yeah.
Because you're not that far off from dead, depending on what... All right, they're going to draw. Yeah, depending on what the... So the Recruiter's in hand. That's going to come down. If they have a 2-drop Flash creature, which we know one's out of the deck, but there could be more, then you could be looking at a lethal attack on the following turn, and knocking the Selfless Spirit back to hand puts them in a sticky situation where they have to choose between, dealing with the Jace or dealing with the board. Now, unfortunately, this Chain Lightning is not an instant. Oh, it wouldn't have mattered here. This is a 2/4. So,
no, yeah. But now they can kill it if they want to, right? They still have priority.
That is true.
Which means the Chain Lightning now gets to clear up the
And Snapcasters are going to see. Force Spike, a lot less so. That's not really one you want to see at the moment, but it could do a thing.
Since Dromoha's command is in fact a fight and not a punch. So
Yep.
you can take the opportunity to just clear out.
The problem is it'll just clear out the Selfless Spirit on its own here.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. You can sacrifice
Yep.
it.
Yeah, it essentially targets the Selfless Spirit, which doesn't allow you to get through with your 4/3 right now.
It does. There's an argument maybe you don't attack with the 4/3 to preserve your Jace, but
yeah, you have 2 islands on top. And you still have the Snapcaster, and you know for a fact they're going to be playing a 3-drop off their Vial this turn, so the Jace is in a lot of trouble regardless. A 3-drop that we know tutors their deck. And I think it's a reasonable assumption that they probably have something that deals to Jace or pushes damage in some way, shape, or form. So I think, for me personally, I think I would probably tend to. I would have looked to probably do a bounce line on Jace over the Brainstorm look to try to preserve it for one more turn, for one additional look after that. But I don't know if that would have per se put you in a better spot. It's a value-based decision, I guess is what I mean by that.
yeah.
All right, so they block here. Okay. I did not see what they got. I don't know if we can take a look at what
Remorseful Cleric, I believe.
Well, that's on their library.
Oh yeah, the cursor is still alive. Yeah, I don't.
The revealed zone, I don't know. I don't know if you're in the actual game itself. You can look at the revealed zone. If not, we'll see soon enough. Thrashing Barontodon. Well, that's a magic card. You destroy moons. That's what they got. They got that card. That card is pretty good. Now, one interesting thing that could happen is if they do try to go for a Jit equip, they could Force Spike here and try to buy an extra turn. Because my guess would be it's either Sword or Jit. And if it's Sword...
Yeah, it's Sword.
Yeah, Sword or Jit would be my guess. It really comes down to, are they playing with Oof or not? So they're going to play the Remorseful Cleric, which I think you have to say yes to. It's like, okay, cool, got it.
It can shrink the Enigma Drake again if it wants to.
Yeah, so they draw the Brahms, which is just kind of a big beater. Just a big guy. But you're going to be able to vial it in. Yeah, this one looks like it's a fairly unwinnable from the blue-red player's perspective.
Well,
unless
they do have a Jace, which helps.
Well, it really comes down to, do you have a Meteor Storm, style effect in your deck? And if you do,
basically, yeah. No.
Kind of.
So they would Direfleet Daredevil into Dromoha's command.
I'd rather, I think, probably just Swords something here. There's a Swords in there too, right? There's not. It got exiled by the Dryad Militant.
Yeah.
So I believe there was one used against the Crackling Drake, but yeah, it got exiled. So I guess it is Dromoka's command.
Dromoka's command, though, puts a counter on your guy.
Dromoka's command is actually interesting. What you could do is fight the Direfleet Daredevil versus the Stoneforge Mystic, and then have them sacrifice an enchantment, which would be the 3/5.
It has to be Courser of Kruvix.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you could look to set up an Electrolyze and stay alive. Yeah, actually, Direfleet Daredevil's not bad. The Dromoka's command is actually pretty impactful if they see the line that it blows up Courser.
Yeah, to be fair, the Courser of Kruvix, Dromoka's command is a card that does a lot of things, as we were saying earlier.
Yeah, I don't think you kick this line off, though, with Electrolyze, if that's what they're looking to do. They actually may pop the Remorseful Cleric right now just to clear the way for this line so they don't exile their own bin, which is reasonable. Evios could just blow up their own bin with the course or the Remorseful Cleric.
And then you basically ended up Dromoha's command, the Remorseful Cleric, but you end up a Courser.
Yeah, but the Courser's still on board, and the Courser is huge. It's massive. So yeah, they do go for the 1 to face, draw their Force Spike, which I believe they still have a land drop, or they're short a land drop, I believe. So they're going to go for an attack here? Yeah, okay. Seems reasonable enough. Although, you probably want to do that first, I think, but hey. So, Brimaz is coming down EOT. The Monarchy will go back. Are they going to go for I think you do go for the Direfleet Daredevil Dramoka's command line. Yeah, looks
Yeah,
like they're going to do that.
If it's clear to you that it destroys the cursor of Crewfix, then yeah, you absolutely go for it.
Yeah. And you get to wipe the Stoneforge if you want, which I think in general I would want because I want them to tap out.
They went for the Sacrifice and Enchant. I didn't see the other mod that they peaked.
It says damage. Okay. Oh, it choose 2.
It's fight, yeah. Did they put a counter?
I don't know. We'll see momentarily. Yeah, Arakasi, yeah, you probably want to generally attack before. And I think the relevance of the attack was more so to just get the Monarchy here. I don't think they were planning on killing them with it, but you're not wrong. With a Price of Progress in hand, I mean, there's a chance that you can find a way. Oh. So they chose the wrong modes, I think. Yeah, chose the wrong modes on it. They could have blown up the Courser and then eaten the Palace Jailer, which would have been better.
Yeah. Instead, they just ate the Palace Jailer and put a counter on the Drake. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I think you'd rather be up.
You just want to get Courser off the board. I mean, it's a card engine. You know,
the sword. You'd rather get a Courser off the board than.
And I think in general, I'd rather just blow up the Stoneforge to force them to pay full retail value on the sword. They're going to have the mana to pay for Spike, but you can get them to tap out at a minimum. This, I believe, puts you to damn near dead. Yeah, I think they have a forced chump at a minimum on the Courser. To not die to this, that's 8 plus 2. Yep. So, I mean, I think you probably want to put the first striker in front of the cat because it could stay alive. And maybe there's a world in which you can set up some sort of kill with Price, but yeah, that makes sense. The Jace is still going to be alive, so I suppose you still have a hope and a dream there, but I feel like at this point they're in some significant trouble.
Yeah, it does not sound like an ideal situation. The Courser being down would help.
Yeah, no, I mean, it puts you in a better stead, but I mean, not a great place.
This sword is kind of a problem, regardless of the Courser being there, TBH.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you open up yourself to drawing a Braid on the following turn, right?
Yeah.
And you have a more clear board, which is a significantly better place to be.
Yeah.
All right, well, they got them tapped out. They have 6 damage in hand, and they have 3 on board. Is there like not an overrun, but a berserk effect in their deck? Curious to see. Well, Remand is probably not going to do it, although you could Remand. There's a Thalia on board. Well, first things first, you definitely Jace. You look for a kill spell for the Thalia to cheapen up your cards. You know, I guess you can flashback the Electrolyze. I don't know if that leaves you with enough mana to cast the Price as well. It also drops off the power of your Enigma Drake by 1, but you're ostensibly getting 1 damage into face. All right, well, there's a mag.
Still being at 22 is also like.
Yeah, I do think depending on the build, like there are definitely ways to one-shot this turn, like depending on how your deck's built. But there are ways to one-shot from this position. It's not good. You're not wrong, but Berserk Price of Progress have killed folks from a lot of life. Okay, they can bounce a sword.
No, there is a bad Berserk effect in red now. You know what's it called?
The cycling one. It's not that bad. It's a cycling one. It's not. There's actually been a couple for a while. Like you had a blinding stroke.
Yeah. If I guess Team or Battle Rage and that sort of thing. Yeah, no, I was thinking of that.
There's a cycling one now.
I was thinking of the one from M21. What's it called? Unleash Fury?
Something like that. It's a cycling 2 card. It's not bad. It's fine.
That's not the card I'm thinking about. I'm thinking of these Junker.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I just doubles the power, which is not bad, but there's one that's, I believe, sorcery speed and has cycling too, and it's fine. It's for the right deck, but in this deck, I don't believe they'd be running it, but they might be. They might be on Team or Battle Rage. So they opt to pass it here. I guess that's fine. All of their cards can operate at instant speed. A Mox is a good thing to be seeing on the top, I presume. Yeah, it's entirely possible they could eat the Brahms here. The issue is going to be getting cards in bin to be able to cast Mag Sinkhole to not die to the other stuff. Like, I think you have to go for the no value into the Royal. I could be wrong on that, but we'll see. Again, like, looking at this hand, like, I think this game was actually winnable if that Courser was off the map. We just didn't have to deal with that card specifically.
And we have Evios's hand finally.
Yep. So we've known they were on a Nissa for a while, which is going to increase the size of their team. But they're not going to look to go for it, which is intelligent. I mean, they can probably expect their OP has some volume of counter magic.
Yeah, although none of this counter magic is very definitive, right? They have a remand that.
Do you feel like you're incentivized if you're on Evios' side to cast more spells?
Oh no, I'm not casting anything.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, there's no point in casting your spells out. Like, the way you lose this game is by getting multi for one, in my opinion. There's the price again. So we get to eat this thing. And unfortunately, I think there's some sequencing issues or some things I'd enjoy better in different sequencing. Like, the Stoneforge being on the map is still kind of a problem because they can flash in this sword, which is still going to be problematic. Although they can look to eat whatever they put the sword on with the removal spell they've got.
The magmatic sinkhole, yeah.
Yeah, it just shrinks the size of the Crackling Drake significantly. You're actually happy to see a dual land here. I don't know that it'll be relevant, but you're happy to see it. Tapping the Wasteland also means that your price is going to be hitting for a grand total of 8, which is not an insignificant amount of damage.
Yeah, 8's still not quite enough, though. Evios has a pretty comfortable 23 life total, so not super close to Price of Progress being lethal yet.
You have 12. You have 12 on the map, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's as far off as you think it is.
No, I mean, with Progress is never, like, super far off, but but it's not super close either.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because they also can't get super frisky when attacking, right? They have they only have 5 life.
The thing with the Drake is that it's frisky until it's. I mean, it's not frisky until it's frisky, right? It doesn't have to be, you know.
The amount of friskiness that the Drake has.
It can just literally murder someone in one hit.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of. I'm saying
100%,
just, you know,
yeah.
Because they've got 16 off the Price of Progress if they want to use Snapcaster Mage, right? So, like, can they dump another spell? Can they remand their own Snapcaster Mage and then Price of Progress for 8?
I mean, you would remand your Noble, right? But that's probably...
You know what I mean? Like something...
Sprite Dragon actually also does a thing. Because now you can go... Because now basically this Snap becomes...
What I have to do the math on, though... All right, so you don't want a Mag Sinkhole yet because you don't have enough spells.
He has a bunch of mana to put into it.
Fair enough, but...
most of retail for it.
I think you want to price this turn. It has 8.
He still has the price. Like, I think he can exile like 1 card. He can exile the Abbot and the Darkfleet Daredevil. And
okay, yeah, fair enough.
Spell, yeah. Yeah, he ended up with 1 spell.
That's what I was saying. Like, I think they may be winning this actually. So they knock out Thalia.
And now you get to attack for 7.
Oh, yeah, you attack for 7. And you can pump
and then price them down to 8, and that's lethal.
Yeah. Well, you do lose 1. Yep.
But the Dorat gains 1.
It does, yeah. So that's lethal, yeah. That's like I was saying, like this isn't Drake and fucking get you out of nowhere. Man. Yeah. I do think, again, like, it's pretty spectacular win. This is sick. This is a good line. But I do think looking back at it, like, the courser, this could have been easier, right? Like,
yeah.
went hard with this game.
Yeah, no. If blowing up the cursor would have made this game a little bit easier on Zannty, but
significantly, yes.
But
my opinion.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Price is fucking, it's a hell of a card. That's why it's the point, you know. It'll kill you out of nowhere.
Like, the amount of time that you're playing against an aggressive red deck, and it feels like, oh, they can literally never win this game, except if Press of Progress is involved, at which point they're actually an overwhelming favorite. It's like...
Yeah, boom. Yep. You know, it was 16 damage on the hoof there. It's like 22? Great, love it. Take 16, take 8.
Ah, yes, 22, burn them, bad range.
Yeah. Now, generally, I do think this is going to be a tougher matchup for the blue-red deck.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's just a lot of things. Although, their hand has, like, all just things and no mana in it. So, like, if they got to braid it early, could feel bad.
How do you feel about this Spore Web Weaver?
I am not a huge fan of it. I mean, like, here's the thing, right? Like, I think at 3 mana, it's going to be good versus this deck.
Yes.
Like, but in general, like, do I really want to draw that thing for Storm or Time Vault? No, because it doesn't clock.
But every time that they grape shot your Spore Web Weaver, you get a sound rolling and you gain 1 life.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just like, I'm not that impressed by it, personally.
Yeah.
Although it could really get them here.
Ooh, Ancestral Recall, you say?
Yeah, not a bad one. It is a hard card to burn out, you know?
Yeah, no, it is. And it has reach, so, like, your usual strategy of, like, oh, I'm attacking with these Drakes isn't gonna work very well.
I will say this.
I
will say this about Zannty's draw. They've had a hell of a draw. Unless we were missing part of their hand cam, they've drawn land every turn, which is exactly what they needed to draw. Like, pretty much
Didn't it start with 4 lands?
I thought they started with 1 land and an Aether Vial.
Oh, Evios started with 1 land.
Correct. I didn't really care for their keep because I feel like I felt like it was really cold to like I felt like it was pretty cold to
effect. Yeah, no, I was like I thought that Evios's hand was like island, mountain, serum visions, and some other stuff.
Yeah, their hand seemed reasonable for the deck. I don't think you attack here. I'm curious to see they do think you attack. Now, what I'm curious to see is, like, are they willing to throw on a creature? Evidently, they are.
I think the thing is that this Brineborn Cutthroat, you have to nip it in the bud. If you wait if you try to wait, it's gonna be like a 5/4 before you have the time to say.
Well, I'm saying I don't like the attack. I think it's
against an active Vial, I think that is.
Well, you got recall in hand. Why not get some value off your recall on your threat? You know, like, because at the end of the day, like, one issue with Vial is, like, you are intrinsically down a card from playing Vial. Right? Might as well go for the Ancestral here, see if you can hit Daze. Nope, they don't want to yet.
If you hit a Force of Will, do you Force this instead?
No, I don't. Maybe you do, because you just know that Vial is going to sit there and kind of do Vial things.
Well, they hit an Electrolyze.
Yeah. I don't see their last card, but my guess would be
it's a Faithless Looting. Oh, it's a Royal Science.
Yeah.
It's not time for Science yet, but.
See, this is the problem with this line of play is now you're kind of obliged to play this land, and I don't think you want to play this land right now. I think you actually want to just kill off this Nissa right away. Like Arc Trail it, you know. But, you know, ostensibly you're going to get more value off it later on, but as we know, there's Jamoka's Command in the hand, and it's not going to end well.
Yeah. I mean, though the Arc Trail on paper is a sweet play, right? Here it kills both of these idiots.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do it end step because we knew it was coming out EOT. This is going to be a Palace Jailer more than likely, and my guess would be they'll uptick, even though it means there'll be less cards they can vial in, because of the power of just getting a card engine going with onboard advantage against blue-red, which is very powerful.
Yeah. Blue Moon,
so my guess is we'll see an uptick.
Not the best Blue Moon matchup, though.
Well, you know what I mean. It's not technically Blue Moon, but I mean, like,
this is not the best Blood Moon matchup, is what I was trying to say. I was looking at Zannty's hand.
Although what could work in their favor is more than likely Ooh, I would actually like blocking here. You know they have a you know that they have, so it's like why wouldn't you block? Because
Yeah, I mean,
I guess yeah. I mean maybe not, but like what could work in their favor is if they cast down to Thalia and then resolve the Palace Jailer. It's very possible that they could Arc Trail to kill the Thalia plus the Recruiter. After killing them, then play out the Shivan Reef to. All right, well they're gonna play this thing out.
yeah, they decided to go for the Spore Web Weaver.
Which is certainly less favorable, but
it is now officially time for science.
All right, here we go.
Probably, I'm assuming pitching this Blood Moon since opponents seem to be well equipped.
Blood Moon or Faithless Looting. Blood Moon or Faithless Looting. They say an island, I guess.
I'm kind of into Faithless Looting, casting Faithless Looting this turn if you don't hit with
There's the Abrade.
Yeah, Abrade is powerful. Abrade kind of gets it done here, I think.
I think I would have pitched Moon over a land there, though. I think your mana development's more.
Your opponent already has 3 basics. Your Blood Moon is not gonna do anything at this point. I think I'm super into just getting rid of it.
Ionize, well, maybe relevant later, but I think now we're just going to see the power of the Monarchy versus blue deck, which is a ranching.
I mean, this is not the worst blue deck to be the Monarch against because you have a lot of ways to actually get the Monarchy back. It's not like your traditional blue decks. It's like, oh, I have like 5 creatures in my deck. You can actually attack for damage here.
I personally think attacking into that creature was kind of aggressive. Maybe they just really didn't want them to have access to the possibility of another card off that creature at some point in time. I don't know. Now Dromoka's command's up, but you can't ionize it at this point. My assumption is this is going at the Royal Scions, or is it going face? Yeah, Royal Scions. Makes sense. Get a free draw step. Yeah, Mother Rune's an annoying one. I do think you just blow up. I mean, the Vial at this point kind of doesn't really matter that much, to be honest.
Yeah, no. Like, it's also 4, right? That's just an infinite
4
amount.
Is a ton less relevant than it is when it's at 3 or 2, especially from what you've seen in the first matchup. See him fetch here. They're going to try to use the Dromoka's command, which is
probably going to get ionized.
Yeah, I think you just got to. You got to get the clock off the board. Either way you look at it, the Royal Scions is going to get another free draw step. It's going to get another draw, and then it's going to die, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's going to gain you some life along the way, which, you know, is pretty decent.
Let me go ahead and ionize this. Seems sensible. Let's get rid of this Blood Moon, which is just really bad. Yeah, just get rid of that Blood Moon. Bolt's good.
Yeah, Bolt's a good one. Bolt's I mean, the Spore Web Weaver is actually kind of doing a thing here because like it's not easy to bolt. Even if you do, they get a Saproling. Like the card is kind of hard to get out of the way. It's gonna make it tough to get the Monarchy.
I don't think it's that relevant. I really don't. I think the Monarchy is what's relevant. The question's going to become if they start leaving out mana, do you even attack with it? Because like what you need to be concerned about is stuff like Nimble Obstructionist or Vendilion Clique or Brazen Borrower. Coming into play. The card's obviously like a design, design trend against like Brazen Borrower style decks. Yeah, I think here
Nemesis.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah, no, and you can also bolt. You can also just get rid of Mom here, which you want to do now.
The issue you're going to run into in this game is that next turn they are most certainly going to resolve this. I'm trying to think if they have enough mana. They're actually a mana shy. I think they may have wanted to play that land out last turn. I don't believe they did make their land drop last turn because now if they play this, they don't have the possibility of having access to 5 additional mana to get a sword on board and lock up a sword on this very turn. And now Abrade's going to be able to get the sword, which is kind of nice. Yeah, like this True Name could turn this game.
True Name is that's a hell of a card.
Yeah. Well, the sword. See, this is like one of the areas where I do think having played that land, even though it does not play around Price of Progress, like I think you wanted to because if you have this top deck or you have a mana intensive turn, you could definitely put yourself in a bad situation. That said, I mean, we'll see what they draw here. Kitchen thinks it's fine threat. I think at this point,
War Boss is the draw. That's actually kind of bad Because you're forced to attack into the stupid Spore Web Weaver.
Yeah, I think that was a misplay. I guess they could abrade the.
But then they
Spore
can't
Web.
abrade the sword, and this with the sword existing.
I know they should know the sword's there. I mean, like I don't like to play either. I would have played out the Grim Lavamancer and just called it a day. Been like, hey, go ahead.
I think you just have to accept they get a Sabroling here and be sad.
Yeah, or play it second main. I mean, Days. Okay, that's a magic card. Probably not going to be great, but I guess we could see. I mean, like, there's a possibility Days could hit something. I mean, you might just do. I mean, you're not going to just do it for spell count in your bin.
I'm gonna go pick myself up some more coffee. I'm gonna be right back.
Do what you got to do, bud. All right, here comes the sword. This is going to tie up 5 mana at a minimum, which is still pretty favorable for the blue-red deck. You're happy to see 4 mana. You're happy to see your opponent spend the mana doing this. I do think you just blow the sword up here, though. That makes sense. My guess would be with that Goblin line of play. No, Weaver's okay. I just think it's like their deck's a more techie deck, right? Like blocking this here does not make sense to me. It's going to make more 1/1s. I think you just take 1 here, but it is what it is. I guess they're going to do it.
I did it. I have caffeine now.
Good. I think that's good.
Oh, I see that the monarchy has changed place now.
It has, and they get to see a hot days here because sword is expensive.
Sword is expensive.
It is the downside to sword, and we get to see something get countered. And now they're out of cards. Although I think I've not been a fan of how I don't know. I think this Weaver could have been played around better, but that's just me. They do get to blow up the spiders now. The spooters are down. Oh, there's a way to blow up the Weaver.
The Weaver, finally.
And now you kind of get to hold your ground and just draw extra cards, right?
Yeah,
I think you just blow the Weaver up here, and then you resolve the stupid Pyromancer afterwards.
Every time I look, I put the days on screen. I scroll down to see what the price of a foil for the Nemesis pack foil is. Do you want to take a wild guess of what a Nemesis pack foil costs?
No clue. Probably $100.
Yeah, it's $95. It's like
75. Okay, yeah, I guess like 100, 7,500.
Yeah.
This attack is.
I needed to get one for my cube when it was popular. This is terrible.
What do you think of this attack here? I think this attack here was actually bad.
Yeah, I did not see.
Just draw cards. Just draw cards. Like sit back and draw cards, build up your board, and then like kill them in one big hit. I mean, maybe they feel like they need the chip damage in because they've got them on the ropes. That's a card that can be really annoying. It also doesn't play well against Grim Lavamancer. You definitely resolve it main 2 if you're going to resolve it at all.
The chat is mentioning that Zannty is actually running real low on time, which is relevant. They are only on 3 minutes. As a reminder, we have slightly modified the way that the time rules work. We're trying to find a little bit of a a medium between having 140 minutes, 1 hour and 40 minutes round, like happened once last season, and letting games don't go to time. So we're limiting players to only 1 restart per match now. So, but is this game 2?
This is game 2, yes. So attack with all. They're looking to race, I guess. Yeah, no, it is a 1-0 up right now to Zannty's favor.
Yeah.
Maybe racing here is just correct. I don't know.
I mean, you have 3 minutes on the clock, right? So that is also relevant. You kind of want to try to finish this game.
Sure. I mean, 3 minutes is a long time, though, in Magic.
3 minutes on Moto is probably enough to win this game. If you take a stance that is in any way aggressive, you probably don't have... It probably doesn't mean that you can handle forever, but... I know that Zannty isn't the most... They're not the best on Moto. He has played with Moto enough, but he's more of an arena player, so...
That's fair, yeah. I actually tend to like Moto's control. I have downloaded Arena. I've tried it out. I tend to like Moto a lot better as far as control of the game state goes.
It's more of a... I think with Moto is more like... Arena is a lot more intuitive. Moto, I think it's kind of like a higher ceiling type thing, but once you have mastered the control, it lends itself to do.
It's a better paper simulator.
Yeah, it's a better paper simulator. But
yeah, me too, Arakasi. I don't care about graphics. It's a card game. To me, it's like I don't really care what it looks like. It looked like the 1970s just hit us again, and I'm fine with it. But everyone has their own differences in how they see.
Yeah, I mean,
what they like.
It's on a graphics thing. I like I like how responsive and I need to be dragging my hands to places and them doing things. That is the main appeal for me. I like it, like when I have one to play land, it's just a matter I just take it and drag it onto the battlefield and it happens, rather than.
Yep. Let's focus in on this game though, because I think we are going to have a. Maybe they can't kill this turn. They're going to bounce that Idjit, which seems a fine. They can give protection to one thing, which more than likely will be the Courser because they want to be able to block the Legion War Boss. You could bounce it or not bounce it, but you could target it in response. It can't be the 2-power stuff because they'll just kill it in response. Mm-hmm. With the Grim.
So what happens if you attack with everything here? Is that lethal?
You should attack with everything.
Probably everything but the
3. Well, no, it's lethal for sure because they have a flyer and they have 2 evasive threats that do 5 damage and they have 2 damage.
Yeah, and then they have the 2 damage from the idiot. Yeah.
Yep. So they'll close down here.
All right. That's it for this match.
All right. That was
good job to Zannty. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. That was a really good match. I'm glad that we watched it.
Yeah, no, the first game was especially interesting because I think some folks were like, "I doesn't like it's winnable," and like I don't know, like I think anytime you got Price of Progress and a thing that gets boosted by spells in the bin, like you can find a line, and we definitely
once you're in the Price of Progress, not Price of Progress.
I was not expecting to win that first game. That game was.
I think so. Zannty,
weren't expecting you to win it either. Well, Norman was.
I thought there was definitely a lie. I think so. There's one part like that first game. I liked how you played it, with the exception of one line. Direfleet Daredevil on the Dramoka's command. You can blow up the Courser at crew fix.
Oh, make them sack an enchantment. I could, yes.
Yeah, and I think I like that line better. Then you just fight the 2/3 idiot you had on board versus, or the 2/2 versus one of the other, the 1/2.
That's definitely better. I also played that post combat and should have done it pre-combat to get in 1 extra damage.
But... Agreed. Yeah, I mean that's true. And then like also like there was an attack where like you could have incentivized them not using their Remorseful Cleric to get more damage in, main 1. But I mean they could have blocked with it, but they probably wouldn't have. To push a little bit more damage with the Drake. But I mean, like overall, I think the first game was well played. I think it just goes to show like blue-red, especially like the tempo stylists, are decks that with a can have a hope and a dream and like just kill you with 2 cards, out of nowhere. Just like, yep, dead.
Price can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why it's a point.
There's the reason that the card's a point.
I was actively like find a non-basic. That's with him only having 3 non-basics. I don't think it was possible, but I was like, that 4th, we need that 4th non-basic if there's a chance.
And like one of the things I was mentioning is like it's going to be really important, like that they tap down this Field of Ruin and or this Wasteland in the course of the game somewhere where you can find really an opportunity. Because Wasteland, I mean, I definitely use my own Wastelands to blow up my own duels to like not die to Price before. Yeah. Like, it's actually common. Like once you get to a lot of lands, you're like, I gotta fucking not die. Like just blow this shit up, get rid of my lands. But yeah, it was definitely a cool game. Don't expect generally to see Price. Like I think what's telling about Price's power level is that that's a 2-color deck that's running a ton of basics in it, and like still just got him. So, good games to you both. Are we still playing right now, Marco, or is that it for round 1?
That was it.
Alrighty.
So, yeah, let me just... since we have a new system, I'm just gonna post the numbers... I'm just gonna post the round 1 results in chat. So that people can take a look and just verify that the reporting went through correctly. We're probably not gonna do this every week, every round, but since we're working with Ether Hub, which is kind of a new kind of a new platform for us. I was kind of wanting. I just wanted people to just confirm that everything is.
Yeah, Dark. Reading your comment, I think you're 100% right. I think Arena is a better casual player like kind of venue. I think it's a better induction venue because it is a lot simpler to use. It does a lot of the stuff for you. I think the problem that I tend to have with it is like it's harder to have the volume. It's more of a pain in the butt to have the volume of control you can have in MTGO, which is like what the games I play. Like I tend to need that kind of crap. I'm like, all right, I need stops here. I need to be able to do this here. Like I don't want them to know that I'm trying to do this. And like if I set my auto stop, just for this, like they're gonna know that I have this or whatever. Like all that kind of stuff. Like when it comes to bluffing and like just like I think more involved levels of play. I think MTGO just does it better, to be honest. Which even though it's ugly, it's fucking old looking. It's made in the 1990s, and it pretty much was. But yeah.
I know. I know that experience because I played Golgari through Ravnica Block, and their big troll, unless you have automatic stop, sacks itself immediately. It's like, oh well, thanks, game.
Well, it's not even just that. Like that's a bug. Like in my opinion, that's just a bug. Like the game should stop to like not allow that to happen. But that's just shitty design. But what I meant more so is like if I'm gonna try to use upkeep stops or pre-combat stops or like pre-block stops to like ninjutsu something in, or like if I don't always have those stops, like I have all my stops set because like when I play, like I don't want you to like I want you to be able to think that I'm like either bluffing or not. And like if I always just only have those stops and I have certain things, like it's telling, right? Like it tells you like what I've got. And like some people say like hidden information is not that valuable. In my opinion, like once you're playing other players who are pretty good at the game, like they know what they're doing, like it's pretty valuable to be able to like basically mind read them. Like if I have a free telepathy in play, like it's not bad like to have that. It may not be relevant. I may just lose to whatever I'm going to lose to anyways, but it's yeah. Do we have the stream drop?
Huh?
Red Mage, did the stream go down?
No, the stream should be up. Did the stream go down?
It might be on my end. I'm gonna restart it here because I had the spinning circle of doom for a long while.
Oh yeah.
So please go ahead and choose whoever we're gonna watch first. Looks like Arakasi's live. Maybe they're streaming for someone else.
No, they're streaming for us.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah, that is the.
I can do it if you want.
Oh no! I mean, aren't you? Okay, so is the stream down? Is that what's happening?
I'm having some latency issues. I have a lot of spinning circles right now. It appears to be up.
Okay.
But I'm also in Florida, the United States, and there's some pretty bad weather here right now. There's a hurricane.
Okay, so
it
should be able to see down the bottom of this Discord bar. You can click on that thing.
So Arakasi, more than likely on their blue-black
deck. Make sure you do
check
the
it out
screen
around
capture,
one.
not
They
the game
have been
capture.
pretty dedicated to that deck, and it got them to the finals in the last season, which I think they were somewhat shocked by. And how pairings broke were pretty favorable for them because they did manage to fade a lot of the aggressive decks.
Because it's weird about capture.
They've had good results with the deck. It is a solid deck. They are very good at playing that deck specifically, and I think if we're watching Academy versus Blue Black, I think it'll really depend a lot on what part of their deck Arakasi draws. If they draw removal half, probably not as well. But if they draw their threats and their counter spells, probably pretty good. Tempo tends to, in general, be pretty good versus Academy.
Why can I hear Arakasi? That shouldn't be happening.
But do you have the 10th point coverage count?
They're muted and deafened, both of them.
Okay. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I have a way to make that not be a thing. It's just.
Just mute them. Yeah, mute Arakasi and ADecay inside.
Well, then I can. No, it's fine. I'll just use the mixer, but it's like.
I'm gonna assume we're good to go.
Can we get the game up, or is the game still waiting to start?
We should be pretty much good to go. It's just a matter of. There you go.
Ruby, yeah. As soon as we get the game up, we can start talking that. The technical stuff can follow. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna let them know that they're good to go.
This is a very strong hand for the Academy deck. I can see right away that there is a mana crypt involved, and there's a draw 7
if you can discard. And there's also very fast and easy access to there's a Mox as well. Oh, they have a Mox. There's also early access to Academy off of the map. So what'll be interesting to see here, they have a tapped land. Though. If they draw an untapped land, they can pretty much do it all around the interaction of this Force Spike. Additionally, the Cling to Dust could be interesting against this draw 7 too. They Force Spike it the first time. Our lots on tap Mana Source, which is not bad, depending on how their sequencing goes and how they play this hand initially. We could be looking at a turn 2 Academy draw, which is pretty good.
Yeah, even if they somehow fizzle the hand restock with these Eco Vions, then we're gonna have to see where it goes from there.
Yeah,
it's.
Oh, I didn't know you made me a mod. Did you make me a mod for the channel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I figured.
I just didn't know. I was like, oh, check out Mod View. I'm wondering why I don't get commercials anymore.
That makes you skip commercials? I didn't even know that.
It does. Good. I think it essentially gives you a pseudo subscription or something. I don't know.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I made you a mod. Let's see if this works. I'm glad to know it did.
Yeah, no, it did. I've never been a mod before. I'll have to figure that out. Anyway,
I feel that considering that you are always here, you're one of the faces of the channel, so the least you should probably be a mod regardless of commercials.
So this is Academy. This is going to be an Academy poll here, more than likely. I don't think they're going to try to find their God, I can't think of it, Inventor's Fair. That'd be the other card you tend to find with that, though. If you draw it late, you're
Bonder's Ornament. What is this card?
I don't know, but it's going to get Force Spiked more than likely. It looks like it's just a card that can be Force Spiked. I have to read it, but I think it draws cards. I think it adds mana and draws cards.
Okay.
Which seems reasonable to have in your deck. Honestly, here, from Arakasi's perspective, I don't like leaving up Counterspell. It's not going to serve you well to leave up that. Here's the thing, right? You can leave up Counterspell here, or you can just resolve your 3-1. And in my opinion, I kind of just like resolving the 3-1 and getting a clock on them. It's not going to serve them well here. They're going to leave up Cling plus the Counterspell, and my guess would be, oh wow, it's a Tinker as well. So when you draw 6-point openers, or basically close to, this is more than 6 points at this point, it tends to go very well for you.
You don't say.
You get a Colony Gem down. This is going to allow... if they're lucky, their OP will try to Tinker first. And then they can, get that, maybe Cling something and draw into another Counterspell. The issue with Echo of the Aeons is that it has Flashback for much less than 6.
Yeah, it's Time Twister from the graveyard.
Yeah. Which Cling could get, but you have to basically counter it and then not have enough mana and then Cling it EOT or something, which is hard to set up.
What do you think of Cling in these relatively aggressive builds the tempo-ish mid-range build that Arakasi has been bringing?
Cling is a phenomenal card, and I think they should be playing it 100%. Cling is just such a low downside card. Against the aggressive decks, it gains you life a couple times, or even just once. And if you're trying to race them, that can be enough. Against the combo decks, it's sometimes a hard lock. Against Storm, if you get the right cards out of their bin, or if you get them in the middle of a breach and you get their Lotus or their Brain Freeze, you can just stop them stone cold. The card is a very low downside include. It's almost always going to have a fetch land it can eat if you just want to cycle it off, which is fine. I think the card is quite good, and I think it's a very smart one to be playing. In almost any deck that can run it. I think I even run it in Sui Black, which seems crazy, but it's just, there are enough matchups where it's good. That effect is very powerful, and in the matchups where losing a mana is relevant, you're probably already losing those games anyways in Sui Black, against red deck wins. So you're all right, and having that card can gain you 3 life, and maybe you can race them, So I think in general, when I start doing my black 1-drops, it goes Thoughtseize, Duress, Inquisition. Fatal Push, and then Cling to Dust. Cling to Dust is on the 5 list now. It's like it used to be a 4 list, now it's a 5 list. Like that's one of the cards I just almost auto include in black decks.
I haven't been playing that card in Vault. Is why I ask, but I've been considering it. So
I would give it a shot. I would give it a shot for sure. Like I think there's probably a worse card than it in your deck. And worse is Cycler, right? And you know, you're a blue deck, so like blue decks can struggle against like Storm. In my experience, the Storm pilots experienced and like they know what they're doing with the deck. Yeah, so I think it's quite good. I've been very happy with it. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's kind of like the power of it is similar to like Ooze. I'm not saying it's as good a card as Ooze is, Scavenging Ooze, which Scavenging Ooze is an auto-include in most green decks, right? Like I don't know many green decks that don't want to run Scavenging Ooze, or they just don't run it. Typically they do, because it is just like incidental life gain and graveyard hate, which is relevant in 2 of the top matchups that you can face that are both actually very diverse decks. You know, from like a standpoint of hating them out. And Ooze is like a high enough upside card on its own that like you could run it and not feel bad about having to run it. And I feel the same way about Claim. Anyways, what we're going to see here is a probably a massive Echo of Aeons. In a minimum, well, I guess they have a land drop left. So if they had to untap her, that's not great for them. In a minimum, like, you know, they're using their Academy. So if they don't hit a candle here, then like it's not the worst.
They can Inventor Sphere for a candle.
No,
they don't have enough mana for it right now.
Well, maybe. So like they can use the Manifold Key to untap the Colony Gem to make 3/4. So they can sack. They need 1 mana short of getting 1 mana short of playing and activating the Candelabra. Actually, this might do it because that's 1 more, but I think they're still 1 short. So if they tap this, tap that, they have 1 mana left, and they can get Candelabra on the board. But I don't know. They're going to get Golos, which makes sense. Golos is a sensible play. It's also kind of just a big unbeatable card. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see it get Catarix here. Cascading Catarix.
Yeah, because then you can use that to activate the Golos later.
Either that or like just get the untapper would be fine. But like if you have Cascading Catarix, I wouldn't mind getting it here because if they don't kill your Golos, that puts you in a pretty good spot. I suppose the Deserted Temple is also a fine play because they're essentially boxed into having to counter 2 spells. As we can see, their counter spells are not good against a developed Academy board in hand.
They're just going to have too many spells in 1 turn.
Well, yeah, you have a Spell Pierce and a Mana Leak, which are fine in the early game. But
those ain't going to counter anything.
No, and this Fatal Push is P-bad here as well. I mean, honestly, like what I like doing here from Arakasi's perspective is just firing up the stupid creeping tar pit and attacking, hitting him for 6.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, like because like what could happen here is you get 6, 6, 6, and then if you draw into like land, Collective Brutality, you have them at lethal, and like maybe they just miss. They're not going to miss, like as we know, and we can see their hand.
Yeah.
But
Arakasi can't, so he has to like.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I played against Academy enough times. Like I know like these are the sort of hands they need to have to beat blue decks. If they have to go like turn 2 Signet, like they don't tend to beat blue decks. If they have the turn 1 Crypt, they can. And once you're in this position in the blue deck, like unless you have hard counter spells, you just gotta life them. You just gotta basically hope they drew the irrelevant parts of their deck, which, as we know, they have many relevant cards in hand. I mean, they also have this Inventor's Fair, which finds an artifact. They also have this Whir, which means they could set up any number of different, basically, card engines to include Paradox Engine, to include Mystic Forge, you know, you name it, or even like Rings of Brighthearth, you know, Top, whatever, and that would do it as well. Like Rings of Brighthearth would set up infinite mana with the Academy plus the Deserted Temple. Yeah, so there is that. Which is the combo I think I would tend to go for, is just like get infinite mana.
Just rings them out, yeah.
Yeah, just rings them out. Infinite mana, they're not going to probably beat infinite mana, and if they beat it this turn, like, okay.
I mean, what are you going to do with infinite mana this turn, I guess?
Draw your whole deck. So if you get Rings of Brighthearth and you have access to top through the Trinket Mage.
Oh, because you're top, right.
Yeah, you just draw your whole deck and win. Like, just win the game. So get the top down. Seems sensible. Bumps up the ability of the Academy to make more mana. I actually wouldn't mind playing out the Citadel here either, just to get one more. I don't think it's going to be in general all that relevant, but it could be. But yeah, I mean, it's this is a tough spot to win from, obviously. Yeah. Although tapping the Deserted Temple here does mean that you do limit the ability to win with the rings combo here. So there is that.
Yeah, that means you'll need more mana later, so that when you start, you have enough mana to untap it. It's
well,
actually no, because this kid's not gonna be on the stock. Yeah, no, you're right.
It needs to be untapped. Yeah.
I'm not much of an Academy player.
No, it's one of those decks that, like, I know how to play decently well. I very rarely play it because I don't find it to be that interesting. Personally, I think it's a solid deck. Like, I just don't tend to find it to be that personally interesting. It's just like if you got it, you got it, and you win. And if you don't, you don't.
Look,
it does have some interaction.
I just want the literal actual counter spell to be in my deck at all times. That's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, well, the thing is, again, like this game came down to mana crypt. Came down to having a crypt in the opener. I think if we had seen it play out slightly otherwise, like playing and actually they're gonna get got here.
Yeah, the Pierce gets it,
and they didn't have to, but they're gonna get got here.
I mean, the Pierce plus the drain.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be 2 for 1ing yourself, but, like, you're going to be 2 for 1 yourself on this.
But, on a Paradox engine, you're cool to 2 for 1 yourself. That is literally, the hand that makes half of the deck works.
Yep. And actually, they're not. They're going to be able to pay for it, but they're going to be tapped out, which is possibly still worth it, because if they get to cast anything at this point, like getting them tapped out is probably still worth it.
Yeah, he opted not to has the drain.
Yeah. Which
I don't know about.
Yeah, well, now you just have a lot of mana. The issue again, I have to reread the Ori. I forget how that card works. Does it actually draw you cards? Is a card engine of any sort, or just mana?
It can, I think.
Yeah, if you can pull that one up, we'll see. I know it makes mana. I forget how it makes cards.
Yeah, I don't know. It does. You can tap it to draw some amount of cards. On this board, it will draw 1 card.
Yeah, which is still probably fine, because if you draw anything that you can cast, you just get to untap all your artifacts again, which seems reasonable.
Yeah.
All right, so they draw a card with that. Draw Brainstorm, which is a full untap into not a full untap, but an untap of like all their artifacts, which is irrelevant because if they make enough mana, yeah, okay.
Arakasi is like, you know what?
although like they could have gone for a fatal push there on the Walking Ballista and tried to limit the upward mobility of it. Maybe they can draw their way out of it, but again, it kind of just ties back to like one of the primary ways that like Academy beats the blue decks that are playing a lot of counter spells is by having those very powerful like openers that have access to the 0 and 1 mana.
And you see ADecay mulligan hand that looked at least somewhat reasonable to me. I didn't have the time to fully digest.
Oh, that hand was real bad in this matchup. It was really slow. This hand is more enticing, but it's risky. Like, the reason this hand's enticing is because if you do hit your second mana source, land, 0 mana source, you could definitely keep that one, and I think it'd be reasonable because you have access to Academy, and you also have not a pitch counter, but a free counter, essentially a free counter with Academy in play. This is a good hand too, though. Like this is a decent 5 for Academy. It'd be interesting to see how they play it out if they go for the Basalt Monolith on turn 1, which will get borrowed. Actually, will not as of right now. That's all tap lands in Arakasi's hand, which is a little awkward. It won't per se. And I think I like that because it allows you to get the Mystic Forge down on 3 or on 2, which if they slip at all is going to if they can't counter the Mystic Forge, is going to become problematic over time. Do they hit on tap source? They do, which is actually a really big draw for them. Hard to know it, but it's a pretty big draw. They could go for a Brazen Borrower here. I don't like it, but they could do that. I think I just leave up the Memory Lapse, which seems really good against the Grim Monolith. Well, you'd rather seen that card 1 down, so you could Mystic Forge it. My guess is you just go for a Forge here. They're thinking about it. Double blue is double blue, so you have to be leery. But yeah, they're gonna go for it. And that, honestly, you're on 5. Like, you got to assume some risk. And this is gonna get lapsed, which is pretty strong here because it means they're for sure not doing anything next turn. I mean, for sure, but it's pretty close to for sure. And as we can tell from our view, like, they're not doing anything next turn. They're just going to draw this card and then say go. Now, this is where the blue deck can start to kind of really shine. If they get that first card engine, they can really put a hurting on this deck. Especially with Brazen Borrower now. I think I would be incentivized to just cast a Brazen Borrower out. Just hard cast it. EOT here. Liliana is no joke either. Actually, Liliana may be the play here. You may just jam her out. Get their last card. You know they're drawing a card they can't cast. You can get that card as well. The only way this really gets punished over time is if they draw into Academy runes, the draw cycle after this, and then can start getting it back. But I like this line. Yeah, I really like this play. You ditch your land here, and then you look to just set up the Brazen Borrower. You can also bounce something to eat it with the Liliana as well. Basically just stacked out. Liliana is kind of an interesting card in this deck. I don't think I like it. Generally speaking, I think it's a card that will be a significant liability against the aggressive decks, which I think this deck will tend to struggle with. But Arakasi may not have been expecting those matchups today, so it may be perfectly reasonable.
Ooh, Duress.
Duress is really kind of an irrelevant one. When you have Liliana,
there's a Liliana that's going up, so Duress goes to...
What you can do is this, like, you can just bounce one of the things.
And then Duress it, yeah. But, I mean, the rest is going to hit the blue here.
Which actually is the right sequence. So, like, what you do is you use the Brazen Borrower to put it in exile so you can cast it later on. Bouncing one of their artifacts, cast Duress the artifact, and then use the Liliana. That way you get rid of, like, a Candelabra of Thanos as well, which is
Ooh, okay.
A better line of play.
I mean, the real issue that's going on in this match is just ADecay has just been completely unable to hit their third land drop. This Oko could have been a real card, but it's not going to be.
Well, you're thinking of it in terms of like a mid-range deck or a control deck. Like, they're playing 28 lands, so like the reasonability of like drawing lands is a lot lower in this style of deck. Arakasi's line here, Oko is a solid card. Really, the reason Oko is in that deck is because it's a good enough card on its own that you're not upset to be jamming it, but it's also very disruptive. It stops cards that stop you.
Yeah, it can kill. It can remove the abilities from something like a Collector Oof or like a Null Rod or something like that. I guess that people don't really play Null Rod, but you know.
No, I mean, I've seen it one time. I've played against it once, and I was like, cool, because I was not playing in an Academy deck. I was like, that's sweet. You know, I just kept on playing my deck. But so they're going to bounce a land here. I don't mind this. Bounce draw. Looking for a land drop more than likely themselves, and they can Liliana here. Well, that's not one you really want to get rid of, but I honestly think you still tick up the Lily here and just keep hammering their hand. My guess would be we're not going to see an artifact or the land get discarded. It'll probably still be the Oko. All right. Get in for the 3s. I do think Liliana not ticking up here is a mistake. I think you just want to keep ticking it up. But they really want this dig, evidently.
Dig's a card.
Yeah, well, see, now they're going to get to resolve an Oko.
Yeah, that's true, though.
Yeah, this is the cost to it, right? Because, I mean, they're playing a lot of fast mana. They might as well. I mean, I don't really know what the Oko does here. It just makes a food.
Yeah, because like Elkin, the Brazen Borrower doesn't.
Well, it's still gonna die, right? Because I mean, you can just turn on one of your lands and kill it. It can go up to 6, but you got 6 on board with the Creeping Carpet.
Yeah.
But still, I think the Liliana uptaking there was, to me, it was just right. It was just the right line of play to make.
Yeah. They had a dig in hand they wanted to hold. I see.
Yeah, I just think it's a hard one to discard. You don't really want to. It's a pointed card. It's very good.
Yeah, it is not the greatest, but sometimes you do what you have to.
Yeah, I just think in general it's more correct. I mean, this Oko is still, like I said, it's good, but it's not going to be that impactful here. It's like they might they might have better success just turning one of their cards into
Yeah, I mean, it's going to end up happening is that it's going to gain 8 life. That's the relevance that this Oko has.
Yeah, it's just you don't really need that effect in Academy. I guess here it's another draw step, but
9 life probably rather, but
all right. And here I do think this Liliana does need to take up and get rid of this land. Like, just get it out of hand. It sucks. They're not discarding cards. You are. But you want this Liliana to get to 6. You want to force them to pile up all of their permanents and choose them and just stacks them out. I still think, I think you pump it up. There you go. Yeah, it doesn't feel good, but this is, again, why I don't think Liliana should be played in this deck. But it's good in this situation where your opponent's mulligan down to 5. Yeah. They have a deck that does require its cards, and it's going to do some work here. But I think, generally speaking, like, unless you're on Life in the Loam or like a lot of card engines,
it lets you pressure your opponent's hand, but it is really unfortunate that you are also a deck that wants to hold card in hands in general because you want to hold interaction.
You're playing memory lapse. Memory lapse, Cryptic Command, primary example. Like, that's Liliana just doesn't mix with those.
Yep.
Now I do think I would dig here. I don't think I'm going to go for damage here. I think I would dig and look for interaction, and then debate what I want to do with this Liliana, but. The thing is, at this point, your opponent's going to cast everything out they can possibly cast, and they can cast a good portion of their deck with what they have available right now. Like, 4 may not seem like a lot, but, like, for the most part, like, Academy does have some big donkeys that just cost a bazillion to cast, but for the most part, they have pretty cheap enabler cards, like random artifacts that are going to be castable for 4.
But Liliana is about to force them to pile all their permanents into 2 piles, and they only get to hit 1, so there is that.
Yeah, right now, the Liliana Ultimate is like, it really only halves their mana.
Yeah,
it's kind of the issue I foresee with it is like you can have their mana, but that's not bad, right? Like, it's in a minute, it's another turn where you're not discarding a card out of your own hand, and you're gonna do it here, especially because you can keep it around and keep going.
Yeah, we saw Arakasi not really being in a hurry to Ulti Liliana, but now that it can basically do it for free,
that's why I would say, like, the best route to victory for the Academy deck in this matchup, is either your OP drawing the wrong half of their deck, drawing the black cards in their deck for the most part, with the exception of the hand attack, or drawing the fast mana and just killing them quickly. Because if you have to go to turn 3 and 4 and you don't have a card engine already available to yourself, you're going to lose generally, because you don't have as many like must counter spells. You have a lot of enablers, like like the Signet, like Mox Opal, like Candle. They're good cards with other things, but on their own, they don't really represent a ton of value. That's kind of the issue you can run into.
Do you go for hybrid piles here, or are you going to do something like this is all lands, this is all artifacts go?
I think Minamo wants to go in the pile with the least amount of artifacts in it.
Minamino.
Yep, because it obviously works very well with the top deck Academy at just doubling cube. This piling makes a little more sense to me. That way you split the Candle and the Minamo. It seems sensible. Like, I would keep the top pile here personally, I believe. Yeah, top pile is what I would keep.
Yeah, the big loss from the bottom pile is the Minamo, but like otherwise you have 2 like random mana rocks that you have probably.
You have Candle in the top pile, and the Grim Monolith. Like, if you draw,
they opt to hit the bottom pile.
Yeah, I think the top pile is better, because if you draw like an Ancient Tomb or a City of Traders, like, you have an untapped Grim Monolith at that point, which is, in my opinion, better. Liliana is also templated weird, so sometimes you don't really know what they picked, because it's one of those ones where you choose what dies. Like, you choose a negative with the card, which on Moto they hold you to. In real life, someone's like, I want to leave these on the board, and I want to put
like,
these no one's gonna be like, no, you shouldn't say it right, But I mean, the way the card is worded, it's worded to choose a negative, which is weird because most MTG cards are not worded that way.
Yeah.
So who knows what they actually chose?
It's kind of like with balance, you have to choose what you keep, which kind of works counterintuitive what you would expect.
Sure, and there's not very many cards that work in the negative like that, where you choose choose what to destroy, like choose what you want to destroy, or choose what you want to throw in the bin. It's just kind of a funny templating.
Yeah, it's a Stifle Bird.
Yeah, I think if I'm on ADecay side, I'm ready to go to game.
You're
3.
packing it in. You're being like, we're kind of done here.
Yeah, I'd pack it in. I'd be like, I'm good. I would, but to each their own. Choked Estuary. Don't see those lands a lot. I think you were supporting them in 2-pillar. I'm not a fan of. All right, there we go. There's a concession. That makes a lot of sense to me. That one's pretty much over, and that's the issue with the blue matchups with Academy is like if you can high roll them and you get the good hands, you can get them. And the blue-black matchup specifically, like this hand is so. All right, the top hand's great. Like ADecay's hand, phenomenal. It's perfect. Like it's exactly what you want to see.
The mana creep, some shenaniganery.
What you could possibly hope for is for your OP to make a play error here and play out their crypt, play out their land, tap it to play the the expedition map, and then on your turn, not sack it immediately, and then on your turn you get to stifle the expedition map. That could be a big game. Like that's probably the only way I see. Like if basically if ADecay screws up, it's going to put them in a bad spot. But they're just going to cast a Time Twister. That seems incorrect to me. But okay,
you twisted away. That hand looked busted. They have a deserted temple in this one, but
yeah, it seems like a questionable play to me. But it was castable. I think in general, I just get the Expo map out and sack it to find the Academy, and then look to set up a Twister later. They just have insane amounts of mana. Arakasi's next hand is not good, so it's like it worked out okay. I just think that's a very high variance play. I think in general, I would try to get the map down, sack the map immediately because I would not want to get stifled. But they get the Academy in hand. There's not a lot of cards. Like he's probably not playing Encroach, right? If you get Encroached, like that'd feel pretty bad, but probably not happening. Probably much less likely than stifle. And here, yeah, I mean, like the world is kind of ADecay's oyster at this point. They're going to have more mana than they can shake a stick at. That said, they only have. Well, I can't see their whole hand, but it looks like they only have one payoff card. No, they have two kind of. There's Encroach. Yeah, that's a card that could get you the line of play I was talking about. And
I will say
every once in a while
about Encroach. The guy on it looks like the biggest idiot that I've ever seen. Like I've never seen anybody look like that much of an idiot.
Well, if you put that card in your deck, you can look exactly like that guy. No,
and like we Skull Cup and everything.
That's just tongue in cheek, but I mean, like the card, like it's one of those cards that's funny in the Canadian Highlander community. Like I've seen it like pop up 2 or 3 times. Folks talking about it. Like, I don't know if their greed gets the better of them and they think maybe I could play this card and it'd be great. It's like, no, that card's still really bad. Like, when you cast it against Death and Taxes or like Redneck Wins, you're just like, oh no. What have I done? What have I done?
Oh no, I made mistakes.
What have I done? You know, or even against like Storm. Like, Storm, you're just like, cool, you got my land, bud. Like, I still have all the tutors I need. My Black Lotus.
Can take my Lotus Petal, Black Lotus, Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah.
All this.
Well, it's just like you play that card in like maybe like one deck, like Mono Black Pox, which is like not a good deck. It's a deck you play because you enjoy it, but not because it's good. And you should generally know it's not good if you're playing in a bunch. You're like, I lose a lot with this deck, and you will. Pox is a cool archetype, and it's one you can definitely do. But it's
There's a side.
The format's too diverse. Format's too diverse.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just saying the format's too diverse for it. That's the issue at the end of the day. It's just like you have too many threats that you need to worry about. You can't be 100% board-based or the hand zone disruption-based. I played a lot of games with like blue-white versus like mono-black hand attack decks, and I'm like, oh, I drew my Ancestral Recall. All those 1-for-1s you did are great, you know? And it's like, what are you going to do, you know? Or you cast your Factor Fiction, it's like, well, that works undone.
There's assortment of 3-mana Planeswalkers, and that has his hand. They're not exactly the best in this matchup. Thankfully, he's probably going to have to discard all of them to this Wheel of Fortune. So,
being fair to Arakasi, like, this is probably not a matchup that their deck is exceedingly well-teched for right now. Like, they have typically had to play against board-based decks, right? And, like, well, Academy is a board-based deck. Like, most of its stuff is permanent-based. It's not really a board-based deck. Like, it wins all at once, like, you know.
It's not going to attack you with creatures. That is not...
No. Well, it has more of that now. I mean, you have, like, Psy, Master Thopterist. Some of the versions, you know, most of them all run Urza now. Some of them do run... what's the card called? The 1/2 that dumps stuff in the bin. You can recast it. That card. Some of them have more creatures that can attack or will sometimes. Some decks will play like Emrakul of the Aeon Storm. You can. It's not great, but you can do it.
I'm gonna leave you alone in the commentary booth.
You're fine, buddy.
I need to get by a break. I'll be back soon.
My guess would be this year is going to find a Paradox Engine. And on the next turn, they're going to look to go for a Wheel of Fortune. And if that does not work out, which it could not, maybe Arakasi will draw a counterspell, then they still have the Staff of Domination, which will allow them to draw multiple cards. Arakasi's hope right now is to flip this Delver with a counterspell, hit them with it, and then hope that they lose Crypt Flips and leave this Mana Vault tapped. That's not what you want to see. You probably just leave up the Nimble Obstructionist here, be my guess. Like, you may be able to get them on an untap effect, and maybe they don't have quite enough mana to do what they need to do. Yeah. And if they don't do anything that's that relevant, maybe you just cast it out as a 3-1. But if they go for the Wheel of Fortune, you probably just let that happen, would be my guess. I would probably let that happen. I mean, actually, you can't stop it right now, so I'd probably let it happen. Like, that's what I mean by that. I would not cast down a threat in the face of it. I mean, there is the value line of, like, playing out the Fairy Vandal and making it a 2-3, but I think that's pretty thin. Right now, it's pretty much do or die. Like, if they have it, they have it. Like, you can't stop it with this hand. So, like, wheel is going to put you in better stead than not letting them wheel. I'm going to go with the Thirst first, which seems sensible. It's going to net them mana. It's going to untap their Mana Vault. There's a Capsize, which they may be at a point where they can go infinite with it, but I don't think they quite are. No, they actually are. They're 1 blue mana short, I believe. Or are they not? No, they're not. This actually can go infinite, yeah. So they're going to go infinite with Capsize here. Capsize will bounce a land. And it'll untap all their artifacts, returning Capsize to hand, which leaves them with, I think like 1 mana or something left. So they're netting mana every time they do this. Yeah, 2 mana left. So they untap all their artifacts, get the Capsize back to hand. They could, they're going to use this here. This is actually smart. This is a smart play. It means they can't untap this stuff right now. But what they could do is just recast it. Again, untap all their artifacts, then cast the Wheel of Fortune after having bounced another land, which seems sensible to me. I like that line. Just cast it as is without buyback, which seems 100% fine. I mean, if they're making that line of play, they probably don't have Force of Will. Yeah, I think I would just cast the Capsize first. You untap the Deserted Temple. No, they're not going to. So you can get another untap of your artifacts here with Capsize if you want. Buying it back at this point. I guess you could buy it back. Actually, the right play there was to buy it back 3 more times and just bounce all their stuff, and all of it would be on the stack. Because it's an instant speed card, Capsize is. That's a small miss on the Academy player's part. But again, like, it's not going to be relevant here. The Academy deck, basically, it had the turn 1 mana crypts it needed, and this hand was just strong. And if Arakasi's deck doesn't really get the time it needs to kind of set up, it's going to lose. Pretty spectacularly, too. The Academy deck's looking pretty strong here. On the back of a couple of power cards. A couple cards printed in the first 3 years of the game's history. This would be probably for an Academy here, although I could see finding... actually, at this point, you don't really need Academy. You could just get the Fair, the Inventor's Fair, which I think would make more sense to get a card like Mystic Forge. Get access to Mystic Forge now. Yep, this makes sense. You should actually cast out your Rings of Brayhearth before, not now, but before you actually sack the Inventor's Fair, because then you can find 2 things, which would be Sensei's Divining Top plus the Mystic Forge, which would be an auto win.
I have returned.
Yep. So what we're seeing here is a pretty straightforward line. They wheeled, although I think they could have played it a little better and used Capsize 2 more times post-casting wheel to untap their artifacts and bounce everything. The one issue they're going to run into at this point in the game is that their OP does have a Force Negation. Doesn't get Force Negation, but I do not think it'll matter all that much because they have enough mana here. They can cast out this Archive, untap all of their artifacts, and then use Inventor's Fair to essentially find their Mystic Forge. And then basically play off the top of their deck if they can find access to, a Sensei's Divining Top. Great. They also have the Staff of Domination, so it's a very mana-intensive way of generating card draw. So basically, they'd have to hit 3 lands in a row. They have not made a land drop of note this turn yet, which makes sense.
So yeah, if they hit something like a Soul Land or even an Academy, that counts for significantly more.
Yeah, I actually don't like. I don't think their mana is irrelevant. Like they don't need Academy at this point because they have Paradox Engine, which is netting them more mana. Basically, if you have spells to cast, you're going to net mana with Paradox Engine.
And the Ballista is going to.
Oh yeah, I mean they could do this kill too. I mean if they have enough mana with Ballista, that's great too.
They look to have the 40.
I don't think they have 40 mana.
They appear to have only. You're right. They appear to have only 26,
which is still pretty good. But now they're going to need to change spells to do this with
28.
Yeah, it's going to untap all their artifacts at this point, right? So it does that.
I will say one of the things they do like about Arena is that you can just press QQ and it will just activate all mana abilities of all non-creature permanents you control.
Yeah. Which is cool.
So you can just be like, how much mana I have? QQ. Okay, I have 32 mana. Great.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to see the Echo of Aeons here. You should just tap everything because it's going to all untap anyways. Yeah. Echo will find stuff. It doesn't matter what it finds. It's going to find basically anything to cast to net more mana and put more counters on this Walking Ballista and 20 them. And yes, it did find a bunch of stuff and things. You could even find the Academy now if you really wanted to. More than likely, you just cast out the Trinket Mage, get the Candelabra of Tawnos, look to set up a crop rotation. After getting Candelabra of Tawnos down, make approximately 300 mana. Have access. Okay, yeah, they just conceded. They could have conceded sooner, but I mean, I appreciate their competitive spirit. They want to see their next hand, and if they have a Force of Will, maybe they could stick in it, but probably not. But yeah, well played by both players. Pretty cool to get to see Academy do its thing. That's definitely the more spectacular end of what it can do. So, pretty cool. We have any more of the games going right now?
We have Zannty and Einstein 9998 Season 5 champion that are still going at it. So let's tune in on that match.
This is going to be one that you don't generally want to see. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Einstein versus Zannty. This is Academy versus Blue-Red. I like Blue-Red's matchup versus Academy a lot better. You have anti-artifact hate. Your clocks are just faster. You have Price of Progress. I think Blue-Black can struggle a little more with it. But we basically see him board sweep here. But Zannty is down to one card. Depending on what Einstein has access to in their 5 cards, we could definitely see some game-changing actions here. I don't believe they're dead to the board. Yeah, they're not dead to the board. So yeah, without hand zone information, I don't know how this game is specifically going to go. 5 cards is a lot, but I don't know how Einstein sequenced at this point. So how many counter spells? 1 counter spell and 1 card in hand. So I mean that basically says days is probably the only thing they could have that would be an impact here on 1 card in hand.
I'm trying to figure out what the match score currently is.
The one issue with wheeling here that can be dangerous, although you do have a land drop, is they've expect their resources pretty aggressively, which to me means hey, reload me up, buddy. If you give me an untap, I'm going to kill you. So I think it's now or never time for the Academy deck in this matchup. There's the Twister, which is kind of the start of what we're talking about them needing, is they need to draw 7 to get rid of probably what's not that good in their hand. And they want to get access to their Academy and be able to generate insane volumes of mana and then just win all on this turn. I think if they're unable to win this turn, they're just dead. It's kind of the gambit. There's the Academy. So it's all coming up Millhouse right now for Academy, but we'll see what the remainder of their hand consists of. There's the Grim. Okay, more mana. It's not per se relevant yet. Although I don't know at what point their mana situation becomes so robust that Retrofit or Foundry can actually just keep them alive through this board. There's certainly a finite number of which that is true, but that's a lot of untaps for 3. I have 8 mana there. The question is going to be, do they have
How about Eugene, the Spirit Dragon? How do you feel about that one?
So I'm a little delayed. I see it now, and that's going to be game. Well, here's the thing, right? They're at 6. That's 2 burn spells away. So, is that really that relevant right now? I don't know. Maybe. Honestly, probably not. I just don't know, right? There's 7 cards in hand.
Zannty's hand does not have even 1 burn spell.
Oh, okay, you can see it right now. I was going to say, if they have,
I just put it on.
Okay. Yeah, that's not exactly the hand you want to see.
He's got a Blood Moon.
Yeah, but Eugene's already resolved. So, but this is like again, like this is a risk. This is a risk, right? Like Academy could just be straight up dead here. It'd be a Searing Spear, Lightning Bolt, good game, you know, or one Price of Progress. There's an opt. You probably do opt just to see if you can find a Price of Progress and just win this game on the spot. Be my guess. I wouldn't mind actually not Blood Mooning here and just leaving up some Counter Magic plus Snapcaster opt if you don't find what you need to find here. Because the thing with Ugin is it's a good board sweeper. It's a good, like, you know, it's good at trying to stabilize, but it doesn't win the game fast. Yep, my guess is I would pass here. I don't think I would try to shut off their Academy personally. You're not going to attack them for lethal. You're going to burn them out, is my opinion on it. And your OP is on 3 cards, so we can safely assume they were less relevant than Eugene, i.e. they did not win the game on the spot, because you go for a game-winning line before you just go for a game-stabilizing line. And you can take 3 for a little bit. If they just pass, I mean, I think I just Snapcaster here, and then I don't think I would into the Royal. I think I would Snapcaster and Ops, try to find burn, personally. But I can see this line, too. This is, I guess, fine. They may be looking to set up a Moon, but the thing is, they're still going to die to Retrofitter Foundry. Like, Infinite Mana is still really good with Retrofitter Foundry. It can kill you pretty quickly. So that's kind of why I'm more personally incentivized to look to try to use a Snapcaster aggressively.
Yeah, I'm with
you.
To
try to find like a way to end the game. Because the Snapcaster's never going to attack through, but like using it to find burn spells, I think is good here. So they're going to make damn near not infinite, but a lot of mana here and generate either a bunch of tokens or a really big token. I think this thing makes 4/4s and 1/1s and 1/1 flyers, and it does a little bit of everything. The thing with their mana situation, too, I mean, I don't mind the Blood Moon line here, but I think the EOT there, I probably would have looked to just allow Ugin to stay in play, personally. And if I needed to, if it kept on going on, I didn't find what I needed to find, I'd, you know, look to EOT it with a kicker, personally. This seems somewhat sensible, though, to me. I mean, like on Einstein's side, just make a bunch of these 1/1s and start doming them. The problem with trying to only counter a single spell is that with Codex Shredder on board, like, and their mana situation as it stands right now, it's very possible that they can cast whatever they want to cast and then get it back with Codex Shredder, try to outvalue you. And I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Codex Shredder just straight up get back the Time Twister. No, it doesn't. Okay. Because they're on a low mana situation. I mean, they could safely assume that Zannty is on 1 counter spell at a minimum here. It'd be that would be what my thinking is from the Academy player side. And Einstein's obviously a sharp player. I mean, they've done very well with this deck and a variety of different decks. All right, so they just try to rejam it. I don't think this is going to work. And actually, memory lapsing this is great. I'd rather memory lapse this, to be honest, because it's just a card that I know is not going to do anything on the following turn.
Yeah.
I'd rather them try to play it again because it actually keeps them off of mana from making more Thopters or Servos, whatever they are. Goblin guy? You know, like, hey, any port in a storm, right? Like, you know, I'd jam a Goblin guy here.
You know, this might be an idiot, but you are the one that is staying 2 right now. Just
No, 4 is 4. Like, 4 is 4 is 4. I'm sorry, 2 is 2.
Yeah,
you know, when you get up 4, like, you know, like, yeah. Like, I would definitely play the land out there, though, because you want to be able to Snapcaster opt and then leave up Memory Lapse at the same time. Not that you're probably going to Memory Lapse the Gilded Lotus. Maybe you do. I don't think I would, but I think I would allow that one to resolve. I'd just be worried about cards. Cards, kill conditions is about all I'd be worried about at this point, I think, on the blue player's side. Although now, like, Academies does have to be worried. I mean, they're at 4. Like, that's... There's not a lot of 4 damage burn spells. Not that I'm not playing Char anymore in Blue Moon. You should allow this to resolve. Let it go. Oh, let it go. Let it go. Nope, not going to let it go. They want him to replay it. All right. Maybe they wanting to save their Snapcaster to counter the next thing they play. And it's a reasonable assumption the last card in their hand is not good because they haven't done anything with it. All right, they get their 1 in. You're going to leave 2 servos back. Well, more servos than that because they have the Retrofitter Foundry untapped and they have, 4 mana, access to 4 mana. Island can't be what you're hoping for here. I think you just leave the guide back at this point and you look to leave up Snapcaster, although I would have definitely really liked to play the other island that we had last turn and look to opt EOT or Into the Royal even. Into the Royal is not unreasonable. Maybe they're hoping to try to get them EOT here with the Snapcaster to get them down to 2 to make any shock effect lethal as well. Yeah, they're going to make another one and block with all 3 would be my guess, so they can't Into the Royal, Snapcaster this thing. Yep, which is a good play.
Yeah, Einstein also has less than 1 minute on clock, so that's also a consideration.
Yeah, I don't agree with casting this out right now. I don't know what you're hoping to gain by casting this out immediately. Into the Royal on what? On what? On the... Yeah, both players are low on clock, but this is really aggressive. All right, each player mills a card, or they mill a card, they mill the Lotus. They get back their Retrofitter Foundry. I think Zannty could have played this a little cleaner, but there's the Retrofitter again. Yeah, I mean, and they get a counter spell on it. No. Seems reasonable. Now, if they drew a good card this turn, which is very likely they did because they're tapping all their mana, it's like a Stroke or something, or like a Whir. Whir or Stroke would be pretty good. Stroke, yep. That's kind of the risk you run, right, with playing it this way, is if they top deck well this turn, then you can die. The best card they can top deck at this point is Arc Trail if they're running it. That's real close.
Can put
them to 1 right now. Let's see their draw.
Can put Einstein to 1 and be like, look, I got this Grim Lava Man. It's going to kill you next turn, no matter how many servos you make.
Well,
what you going to do?
They're at 6 cards. Looks like they stroked, right? So, there's a number of things that they could do.
Yeah, there is a number of things that they could do. Is one of those 6 cards going to do any of those things?
It's hard to tell. You never know without hand information on this deck. But one of them is Time Twister, because they do have a Codex Shredder that can return something, right? And I don't know if they're at enough yet, but they could possibly return the Ugin and cast it. They're short.
What happened to the Ugin, actually?
Nope, there's the reservoir, so they can gain life. Dynamo, yep.
Basalt
Monolith. Yep. Scrapping it out. I do think they're good at
but now they're gonna look. They just lost the time.
Oh, are we holding people to time on this one? Okay.
So I told people that what I told people is that we're gonna let they can start a new game for a new match for game 3 if they want to. The only difference from our previous timing rule is that I'm not allowing people to start a new match after game 1, basically. But they would have started a match for game 3. This was game 3, and I let them know. And basically, the way that this is gonna work out. If you don't and you time out, then it's on you. Mostly because I don't want to adjudicate what happens in this scenario. So we're gonna have to let that one stand. And Zannty will win. Will win the match. Will win the match 2-1.
Fair enough. Yep. Fair enough. And on to round 3. I'm assuming that's our last game.
Yeah, that was the last game.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
We're waiting... So, Arakasi hasn't logged in to confirm the game result from this match. And outside of
that... you have to do that on the paper.
Huh?
My bad.
I mean, I
forgot we're using the 8th up.
So I can confirm the match result for you if you want to, but it's probably easy.
If you want to, it'll be quicker because I don't know where to find.
All right. So that was 2-1 for ADecay, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And then this one was Zannty submitted a loss.
Did I? I thought I did 2-1. Me.
It's fine. Oh no. Yeah. I'm misreading this. Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
no. That's one's on me. All right.
Yeah, the last game was awkward, but
yeah. Before
I still have a lot of doubts.
We go to the next game, I just want to remind everybody a couple of things. I took the time at the end of last round. You might have noticed me fiddling around in chat. I added a next event command that leads you to the sign up page for next week on EtherHub. So you can now. Oh, let me go back to the in between rounds. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's gonna bring you back to the next to the event for that's gonna bring you to the sign up page for next week. So if you desire to to enter next week event for you can type !next event in chat. It's gonna get you there. As the next event is gonna be Sunday, August next Sunday, so that's the 9th of August, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern. We are as if you don't know who we are as the 10 point, the exclamation point 10 point, but like how did you find us, but also in general, any information on things like who we are at the 10th point, but also just the format in general. Canadian Highlander, which, if you don't know about, it's incredibly sweet, and you should definitely give it a shot. And you probably know that it's sweet because you've been watching the tournament. But anyway, you can type exclamation point Discord, and that gives you the official Canadian Highlander Discord, which is what we run the tournament from, and that is our base of operations. For this event, and also it's where you can find information both from us for future events and also on the format in general. There's also people playing, for example, on Spell Table with the real paper decks, if that's more your jam. So there's like a way for you to, if you want to play the format, we can probably get you set up, even if you don't have a paper play group. The other thing that I want to remind people of is the 10th point is brought to you also by your support. So if you have, if you feel like if you wanted to consider subscribing to us, that would mean the world to me and to the 10th point as an organization. It really helps doing things like, you know, helping with prize pools that we can put on for the event for the event as a whole at the end of the season, and this really, and I mean, you know, plus if you have a Prime sub, that should go to somebody. If you choose to send it to us, that's awesome. We really appreciate it. It should definitely go to somebody, though. It's just free money that is going away otherwise. With that said, now that I have said, they've talked for 25 minutes about things that aren't playing Magic, well, let's play some Magic. I have il risalto. And yeah, we can watch the 6 points match, Zannty versus ADecay. Wait.
No, Arakasi, I believe, lost, right? So.
Yeah, Arakasi is 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zannty. Wait, didn't we just play Zannty versus ADecay?
Well,
no, that was Zannty versus Einstein. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Okay.
Yeah. No, you're not an idiot, but I think Arakasi, we should be in an undefeated bracket for viewing, right? Are we watching someone who's not undefeated right now?
No, we're not watching Arakasi. We're watching ADecay.
Ah, I understand.
Yeah.
So it'll be...
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, Zannty versus ADecay is the only match where both players are undefeated.
Okay, so it's going to be Academy versus Blue Red.
Yeah, it's the same matchup that we were watching. Like right now.
Yeah, I recall one of the cool games I played against ADecay. So like, one of the things that I've been working on recently in Canadian Highlander specifically, a couple things, but one of the decks I've been working on is like a bug control deck, not a reclamation style deck, but like a bug control deck. Because I really want to play with Pernicious Deed. because in the online meta, I felt like Pernicious Deed was in a pretty good spot. And I remember one of our games ended with me casting a Pernicious Deed and zeroing it after I had a counterspell Pact of Negation and blowing up like 2 artifact lands and like a Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt. Then like forcing them to catch their own Pact of Negation price when they weren't able to pay it, which was that's a chef's kiss kill right there. I don't know if anyone else is into Pern Deed. TRN can pull it up. We jump in there. Pern Deed's a sick old card. I love that card.
Oh yeah, Pernicious Deed is awesome. I love that card too.
Yeah, I want to build Bug. I just want to play that card. I need to play more of that card.
I had that card twice in one of I had 2 different master set drafts in whatever the last format that they printed the card in. It was super awesome.
I actually don't really care for Zannty's hand. Light up is pretty awkward. I mean, I guess you have a Faithless Looting, but you really want a threat, I think, especially in this matchup. And by this point, both players should know what each other are on. I can't see all of ADecay's hand. From what I see of it, it doesn't look great, but if it has 1 Soul Ring or Mana Crypt in it, it's very good.
Yeah, I'm working on it. It doesn't. That's a short answer, but...
Okay. Yeah, when it has those cards, that hand's pretty good. Oh, you do have a Lotus Petal, so you can turn 2, I suppose.
Also, you could, it turns out, see the whole hand, but it was 5-carded. They went kind of deep on a mulligan.
No, that was a hell of a draw right there. Fiery Confluence, not bad, but we'll see what they do. I mean, I think the correct play from ADecay's side is to just get the Trinket Mage down and find a Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt immediately. But we'll see how they play it, right? I don't like Time Twistering right away. I think that's just like...
Yeah, it's a play that ADecay has been... has done earlier. But it doesn't seem...
This seems like a more sensible play to me, is get your Crypt or get your Ring here, and then look to set up the Time Twister with a few more permanents on board. They did kind of Yahoo at one time. I was like, okay, I guess we're Twistering right now. Just a fast Twister.
You could all Yeehaw Magic.
Yeah.
Can I get some Yees and some holes in chat?
Well, I would say there's a difference between Yeehaw Magic and Cowboy Magic. All right, so they get the Vault here. The Vault seems reasonable, too. I guess they really want to slam this Gilded Lotus. Honestly, like, if they can fade or counter the Time Twister, like, the ability to... Like, I honestly don't mind this. Like, I'm actually pretty happy. Like, I actually like... Well, I don't know if I like playing out the tap land there, but... You know, I kind of like leaving up the Logic Knot and playing out the Air Base to find Volcanic Island, personally. But it's not going to play to their disfavor here, because my guess would be we're going to see a Gilded Lotus get played this turn with 1 mana remaining. Actually, they could just Gilded Lotus and then Time Twister, which is pretty rough. Yeah, I think that land sequence was wrong, but what are you going to do?
Can we get you some E's in chat, please?
So we get a Lotus and a Time Twister. And here, like, the funny thing is, like, if you just... Oh, they're not going to go for it. They're going to attack first, I guess. Okay. Maybe they're going to go for it second main. Maybe they're worried about Pierce. That could be it. Like, I don't think I worry about Pierce here. I just cast it, personally. But... Like, you get Force Spiked here, too, and they know Force Spike's one of the cards in their deck. So maybe they're thinking, maybe I should wait. Which here would be punishing, but... Alright, they go for it, which is smart. Like, that's what you should do. Like, you should just go for it here. Like, I do think that is the correct play. And, you know, Zannty gets punished pretty heavily, I think, by not playing out the untapped land that would have allowed them to have Delve 1 for the counterspell. And I don't see the last card that has Into the Royal. Okay, I think you just leave up the Ionize at this point. Thirst, not a horrible draw. Actually, I kind of like playing Rings of Brighthearth out, seeing if it eats a counter. And if it doesn't, you can actually fetch twice off of your fetch land, which I actually don't mind doing here. Just kind of play a value-oriented game against them right now because you don't really have a great power hand. You don't have like two like just utter haymakers. Rings is not one that you care to get countered, but if it does, it does. And like you could probably resolve something good afterwards, like a Thirst. And I don't think it's generally going to be very likely that they have double counterspell on 3 mana. But we shall see. All right, they're going to play this out. Which, I don't know. I think I kind of like leaving that one in hand. Mostly just as a pitch card to Thirst. And I could be undervaluing Rings of Brighthearth, but I feel like here, like if it gets countered, and like you're okay with that. Like you're not really behind if that's happening. Because the primary part of Zannty's game plan is to like actually kill their opponent, to attack them to death. And right now they're not attacking them to death. It looks like this is going to get countered, so the rings will resolve. I think I would let this one go, but that's just me. And here's Rings. Rings is a spooky card. Could just bounce it main phase, but that's not probably going to do you much good. There's a Force Spike. Oof. Force Spike.
Force Spike not at its best against a deck that is capable of making 70 kajillion mana. But, you know.
Yeah, I have access to a lot of mana. I do think this game's going to come down to playing the untapped land out, or playing the tapped land out over the untapped land and having literal Delve 1 to Logic Knot something. Because if they had Logic Knotted that Time Twister, like, they're winning the game. Like, pretty easily, honestly. Which is it sucks to lose that way, but that's I guess a learning point in the matchup. Like, you want to be able to interact early with them, and their mana is going to be tight in the beginning. And cards like Logic Knot, which are not like going to ostensibly be like super hitters in the matchup, are really good. Then same with Force Spike. Like if you could Force Spike a Soul Ring or like just a Signet, like it can mean a very big difference in a game. There's a reason they play all these cards because they are a mana. They're initially a mana tight deck. They get to a point where they are not mana tight at all. They are mana infinite. But if you can stop them early, then you can be in a decent position to win. Now, basically, like what ADecay is waiting for is like they want to just draw like 2 haymakers. There's access to the Academy. As we know, Zannty has no counter spells in hand. Their hand's kind of bad against what is going on. I think the way I would tend to sequence this, this isn't bad because you have the follow up of the Orrery, which the Orrery is pretty good. And if this resolves, you pretty much know you're in the clear. I don't think in general they're going to allow that to resolve if they can stop it. Or it lets me know that they have like conditional counter spells like Spell Pierce, like stuff like that, Spell Snare, Mana Leak, type effects, Logic Knot effects. Now I'm just like, okay, I'll just jam whatever. I do not believe it played a land yet, so they can untap the Academy with the Deserted Temple, net mana, and play out the Colony Gem to replay the Academy and get more mana off of it that way. And actually, technically, they have infinite mana here, so they can make infinite mana at this point with Rings of Brighthearth. So there is that. Can you bring up the Orrery again, real quick? I just want to read that card real fast, if you don't mind.
Which card, sorry?
Orrery. I forget the first
part. Orrery? No.
Yeah, the card, whatever that card is in their hand right now. I have to reread the bottom part. I know it's good with infinite mana.
It's 5 tap, you draw a card for each color among permanents you control. So you really only draw 1 card. You still your number of colors among permanents you control is still really just blue.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a way to untap it or like that, but there's not currently in play. So
not by itself, no.
No, you're still gonna do it. I mean, you're gonna draw your card off of it because it's free at this point with the Rings of Brighthearth, and there are certainly draws in this deck that could just end the game immediately. They go to bounce this thing, I suppose, too, but that doesn't really help any. I mean, Arakasi or Zannty rather, I'm assuming it understands they have infinite mana at this point. So like basically anything will kill them. They're just waiting to see what it might be.
The real question is, assuming ADecay somehow fizzles and Zannty reaps a pop, is that even lethal at this point?
The best draw in Zannty's deck is Fiery Confluence at this point, in my opinion. Pop would actually not be lethal. They'd be one short with it.
Yeah, an attack for 2, arc trail for 2, and then pop for 8. Yeah, that's only 12.
Bouncing the Trinket Mage is a huge play mistake. Oof. Maybe they just want to see them win. Like this is going to get what they need to win, right?
You get to force spike it. Then he just bucks it in. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, the problem is here they're just going to get Expedition Map, which Expedition Map will then find their 5th lane. Yeah, okay. They pack it in. They didn't like really have to like. I could see their frustration, but they didn't have to pitch there. Just ask them like, "Hey, do you have a loop?" And like they did not have a loop yet. They had to draw off Chromatic Ori to see if they could hit something that would loop from there. And like if you hit, your Fiery Confluence into your Price of Progress, you could win. It'd be some pretty specific draw steps, but you could win. I actually don't really care for ADecay's hand. I also don't like Zannty's hand may be one you keep just because it is a good aggressive curve and it allows them just to beat face. But like I wouldn't be shocked if you're just slamming a Snapcaster on 2 here just to beat them up. Like you just really got to kill them. The issue with ADecay's hand is really, as of now, does not do anything. But that could change very fast. They have access to seeing a lot of cards. Colony Gem, not really impressive right now. And as we know from our position, like the Ancient Tomb is going to be, the life loss will probably matter off the Ancient Tomb in this game.
I mean, you are playing against a Lightning Bolt deck, right? So you kind of expect that to be a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're going to have to use it. Now, casting this off of Ruins to me is a little bit, it begs some questions of me because I think they're going to need the blue mana next turn to cast either Frantic Search or to cast out the Thirst. I don't think you want to have to tap your mana ball for Thirst, but maybe they're just planning on casting the gem. I don't know. Yeah, I would definitely just slam this Snapcaster EOT and just start smashing on them. I don't think you want to try to go for value line here. And then Legion War Boss over True Name. Don't worry about interaction. Just kill them. Just be basically blue-red blitz with this hand. If you keep this hand, I think that's kind of what you're in for. Unless you like have a specific series of draws, like a 2-mana counter spell here, maybe you don't pitch the Snapcaster out. Maybe you just counter whatever they do. All right, but Anamo's not really a phenomenal draw.
Yeah, could definitely be a better card. You also like you already had land drop lined up for like this. It's a good card to have eventually, but like it's just not.
No, and like most of what you're trying to do here, I mean, like you really want to get into like a draw 7 and like pitching lands back to hands, not per se great for Colony Gem unless like you're netting mana off of it on an Academy or something like that. So like if the plan is here to like cast the Colony Gem and bounce back these lands, like you're not really netting mana over time because this mana vault will be tapped at that point, and it puts you in a problematic spot, in my opinion. So they're not going to use the Tomb. I do think using Tomb turn 1, if you're going to keep this hand, is correct because it sets up your draw. They could be trying to Mindslaver them. I don't know. Like Mindslavering them seems kind of a little bit ambitious, though.
You need a lot of mana to do that. You need it's about 10 mana 10. To no, yeah, 10. Good for.
It's 10. It's 10 exactly. Yeah, if you're looping it, it's 13. So
right, actually, yeah, 13 mana to do the whole thing.
I know.
A large amount.
It is certainly not an insignificant amount.
And Zannty's got the pressure this game. He's attacking already for 4. Next turn.
I think what I would have liked here. I mean,
next turn I think I like for 8.
Well, yeah, but I think getting the Legion War Boss down this turn was correct. I don't think True Name adds up to more over time. And so I think at this point,
True Name attack for 3 and then 3, so that's 6. War Boss attacks for 1 and then 4, and then 5.
Yeah.
And then 6. So yeah, it's a little faster.
It's softer to like, your walking ballista or whatever.
Yeah, it's still like it. I don't think Zannty can win next turn, regardless of what he plays. I think it is at 200 o'clock pretty much regardless. So
that's true. I think they can win next turn, depending on what they draw. If they draw into a price of progress, they can win next turn.
Yeah, okay. Given the board, I don't think they can win next turn. I guess is the
probably not. But I mean, if this academy gets or this tomb gets tapped, they possibly can. Looks like they're going to go for a thirst here.
Yeah, I guess if the tomb.
Yeah, tomb into like burn spell.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that like, assuming that no other like your only source of damage is these creatures, they are both 2-turn clocks.
Yeah. Sure. I don't think it's irrelevant to like actually count incremental damage in this matchup, though.
Yeah.
In general, you think it would be, but it doesn't tend to be due to cards like Aether Flux Reservoir. Honestly, due to some cards that I've had make a difference are like the Inventor's Fair that can actually make a difference. Like I've had it like come down to like 1 life, and I'm like, yep. And like it normally won't. Like generally, it's just kind of a pain in the ass because you're like, I got to take another attack step, but it has definitely. I've seen it buy turns. I don't think I've ever lost the 1 life gain off it, but it's been at a point where I'm like, I should notice this because it could matter. They could capsize something here. That doesn't seem great, but it doesn't seem great to burn a Lotus Petal to do that, but I guess they could. Yeah, I guess they're going to do it. That does not seem good. I guess it's what you got to do. At this point, if I'm seeing this out of ADecay's side, I'm like, I'm good to go. Wheels up. Drop this stupid Legion War Boss. You probably preordain first. See what you can see. Maybe you can kill him outright. But I would just go wheels up on this Legion War Boss and try to get him dead as quick as I can, because it's going to take a pretty good top deck at this point to get out of this spot with just 4 mana. Bolt, yeah, sure. But again, I think you just slam your 2/2 and get in for your 6. Put him down to 9. Yeah, I like this. I like this better last turn. I mean, as we know now, it would have gotten bounced more than likely. But again, I don't think I'm too upset if I'm seeing not a buyback capsize being cast on a 1-drop. That's pretty good by my standards in this matchup. Well, we see a 6-ball, and I believe they're just dead next turn. So it's, again, like it's do or die time. One of the questions we could be asking if we're on Zannty's side of this is my OP, do they have access to Ensnaring Bridge? It's not a card that you tend to see in Paradox Academy anymore, but it's a card that could be relevant here.
Iron Check.
I doubt they're on it, but it's a card you can play in it. Yeah, they're going to have to take a lot of damage off this. Now you just need to play this Ancient Tomb, in my opinion, to net mana off Frantic Search and get through some of the bad cards you've got in hand. They do, however, have access to the bridge if they're playing the bridge, but at this point they have too many cards in hand to make that relevant. Although they could Frantic Search first, go down 1 card. I believe they can end this sequence at 1 card in hand, which means only the Gabos could attack. Which would actually it would be enough, because they're going to have to tap Tomb again if they did have that card. And the Bolt would make it lethal. Let's take 2 off Gabos plus 3 off Bolt. They'd already be at 4.
I do not see a...
Yeah, it's not a common one. Like in Eggs, you sometimes runs it. This because it's a slower deck, but you don't tend to see it in Academy because you're full of draw 7. So like, how often is it going to be relevant, right?
Yeah,
not very. What does this mean for them here? Can they do anything that relevant? They can untap their Mana Vault a couple times for a decent bit of colored mana resources.
Yeah, that's gonna get them a lot of mana available. They don't have the triple blue.
Trip blue, yeah, that's the problem they have. There's no trip blue, so I think they're just dead to board. I think they're Dobbsies. Okay. Yeah, that looks like Dobbs to me. I guess we're just doing game actions at this point.
Yes, performing game actions. the old standard.
I ain't gonna win this shit, but I'm gonna do some game actions, buddy.
It's time to perform game actions.
I don't play. I think it's kind of funny. I was playing a game where I did something like that the other day. I forget what it was. Like, it was against Wolfgang, and like, yeah, forget what it was. Like, I put a card that you obviously didn't block with in the situation I was in front of like one of their threats like 3 times. It's like reset blockers, don't block it, reset blockers, don't block it, reset blockers. I'm like, all right, go ahead, get through.
My old standard is opponent is tapped out. I tap my mainland to activate itself at the end of turn.
But I'm pretty sure they knew I was joking around because I told them sorry. I'm sorry, I just had to. had to do it. All right, yeah, okay. Game numero 3.
Yeah, let's. The academy player is going to be on the play this time, so that's going to be.
Yeah, again, it's openers, homie. It's really like, do we see a crypt or a ring opener? Right.
That's a 6er with a Mishra's Workshop. It looks like. This Mishra's Workshop doesn't do much though. There are 0 artifacts in the hand.
In the hand, it's bad. In this hand, it's bad. In some hands, it's good. But you gotta ponder. So I wouldn't, fault them for keeping it.
Oh, Zannty? I would have probably kept the 7 from Zannty.
I didn't see it.
It had the 1-mana vampire and the ponder, so you would have gotten started like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think in this matchup, Zan really just wants like their best threats and their counter spells. Like counter spells are pretty important.
Yeah, but the 6 have neither.
The 6 sucks.
It doesn't use that signal. It doesn't use a thingamabob.
It's a charm, yeah. So this ponder's really big. If this ponder just bricks, or they have to shuffle and it bricks, like this hand does not really do anything. Like that's
crop rotation, Everflowing Chalice, Wheel of Invention is the ponder.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah,
you want to draw
good.
You want to draw 2 of those. The Everflowing Chalice, like go either way on. I mean, you may just draw it next turn, but you don't really want to crop rotation away your Whir because that's actually a payoff. Like you need both Academy, you need your mana, and you need payoff, and like that has both in it, which is pretty solid. The issue is going to be now density, right? Because they don't have a great density of artifacts. And Mishra's Workshop, well, a powerful card, is really only powerful in this deck. Oh, you have Capsize is another sort of payoff. Doesn't work well with Mishra's Workshop, though. One of the issues you can... What's going on with their hand over there? It's blinking on and off. Anyway, they choose to take the Everflowing Chalice, which seems sensible. They can cast it for 2 next turn, which is good. You really need your payoffs and your mana. So this hand does not have a ton of the enablers to get to the mana as it stood. So it was a little risky. I think a reasonable keep though. But if you brick on that ponder, you're probably not playing a game of Magic. Is what it amounts to.
The ponder heat though, so we have a game of to the races. It's
Well, I'm trying to explain the risk of that hand in general. Like, if you brick with that ponder, which ponder can brick, and especially in this deck, like, you can just, not do a whole ton. All right, so what did Zannty end up finding here?
There's a Searing Spear. They have some burn spells, but they don't have a permanent damage source, is the problem.
Yeah. Izzet Charm could do some work for them, though.
Yeah, Izzet Charm can be... Like, I feel that Izzet Charm, I would rather it be a Spell Pierce, but if you have to have it be a Frantic Search,
I think it's probably... There's a decent chance that it will be a Spell Pierce here. Depending on how ADecay sequences this, there's a possibility they could either get this Crop Rot or this Frantic Search or this Capsize. The Crop Rot, probably not, because there's Everflowing Chalice in play, which does very cleanly pay for the mana requirements of Izzet Charm.
Yeah. Although, if you Izzet Charm Crop Rot, that hurts. If you manage to do it. Yeah, you're not going to here, but if you make it happen, that is real painful.
There's a possibility your OP tries to Frantic Search first, right? And maybe they run themselves low on actual mana that can pay for it. Izzet Charm. Of note, like if you counter an artifact spell, you can't pay Izzet Charm mana with
Mishra's
which is something that does come up. Like you can spell pierce something, and they're like, well, I have a shit ton of mana with my untapped Candelabra Mishra's workshop, but I can't do anything.
Yeah, but the reality of it is that probably if ADecay goes for the Frantic Search is going to hit the Izzet Charm. Because that also ties them up on mana like it is.
One thing that I do like... Alright, they're not going to do anything. Okay.
No,
I kind of like Zannty's line of play here, which is like, hey, I got the counterspell, bud. Go for it. Please do it. And ADecay is respecting it. Because there was a much more aggressive line where you just go for the Academy last turn to set up. And Zannty did not loot with Izzet Charm EOT, which would have prompted a crop rotation probably almost immediately on the opposing side.
No, he wants his Charm to trade for a card, which the opportunity to make that happen are rapidly going down, but it's I think waiting one more turn for it is fine, probably.
Well, there's a possibility that their opponent goes for Academy right now and then tries to Whir of Invention possibly immediately. Actually, they can't. They're one artifact short of actually... It only makes one blue right now, Academy does of note. So it's like it's not like exceptional at the moment, but it's one of those cards that like if you didn't have to deal with, you'd rather not have to deal with it. You'd rather not have to give them the equity in right now, I mean, they're kind of in a spot where like, do I even sack a land?
They finally got to put a Reiyu on the board if they're not forced to use a Charm anything this turn.
I think... I mean, you probably just play this thing out.
Yeah.
I think it's correct at EOT to just play out your 2/2. Well, they're going to do something. Okay.
I don't know that I agree with just wasting the 2 mana there.
I would Izzet Charm the heck out of this. I mean, I feel
You're
like...
not going to counter it, though.
Yeah, you are. That's artifact mana, homie.
Oh, that's only 4 mana total. No, you're right. No, you are. Yeah, no, you're right. I'd
probably counter this. I'd probably counter this. I'd see it as a sign of weakness and be like, all right, well, they may have some signets or some bullshit, but like they're not doing anything. Although not playing the land first was possibly an error, but I mean they may have wanted the land drop. For what though? I guess for Whir, if they wanted to end up if they got countered, that they wanted to get the expedition map to find the Academy then?
Capsize the island. That seems... I don't know about that.
That seems like a waste of a card. I think I'd be happy with it if I'm on Zan. I'd be like, yep, great, love it. Like, love it.
Please do.
Yep, love it.
The leftmost card is a Burst Lightning?
Yeah, it's Burst Lightning and Searing a Spear. Best draw on their deck is any counterspell. That's not any counterspell. I mean, honestly, like, if I'm in Zannty's spot here, like, I'd probably slam and just throw Burn at face. Like, you're giving away a lot of hidden info here, but, like, I feel like I would think, based on the line of play they took, that's a very weak line. I would think they have Jack and shit in hand. They're going to hold it up, though, which is going to benefit them because ADecay's hand is really good, And maybe they're trying to, like, level here, but, like, I just don't see the reason to cast that Capsize there personally. It's like, what difference does 3 to 4 make for the blue-red tempo deck? Not much.
Yeah,
I mean,
they have all the mana that they need.
Yeah, it's a gush deck, so it's like, they're gonna, have a counter spell if they have it. If they don't, they don't,
Okay. Crop Rot. The fact that Crop Rot is gonna resolve here, it kind of signifies immediately that Zannty does not have a hard counter spell at least.
Not true in my opinion. In this spot, like when you're down to 1 card, they could be going through the deliberation that this makes sense because they don't have their fear is they do have a counter spell and they're going to get my payload, which is Whir of Invention, and then I'm off the top and I can just draw signets and I'll have infinite mana but nothing to do with it. So getting Inventor's Fair actually is pretty sensible to me. Like I actually kind of like this line from them, like because they played it in a way that they do have the counter spell. They've made that abundantly clear. Throughout the game, like I've got a 2-mana counter. That's been the dialogue they've been trying to have with their OP here, which has paid off in my opinion because this is a tempo negative play to increase EV, increase value, but it buys them more turns to draw into that counter spell, which I kind of like. I think it's a pretty slick play. Now, the capsize line, I just don't get. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't understand.
I don't think you had to worry about the line because, like, if you do get the academy here, you could just like force them to counter the capsize. When they do, you can just cast your tutor for anything card. All right, this is a Staff of Domination, which I think again, you just like you sit here and think about it, and then you just let it resolve. But you definitely sit and think, like, no, not going to counter this one. Because ideally,
the Merfolk Trickster is going to augment the clock. They have currently 3. So this is 4, 7, 8, 9. They have 10 points of damage right now available.
It's actually it's a 2-turn clock, right? So like if they go Searing Spear right now, they can take them down to 12 and do 4 damage on board, which puts them down to 8. They have a massive burn spell for infinite. For 4 the next turn.
If you has the burn
4 damage, 4 damage on board, which puts them down to precisely, I believe, 0. But they're going to gain life off the Staff of Domination here, which was an interesting card to find. I guess they want to use it as an engine.
Wait, they found that with something? I thought it was draw.
No, they used Inventor's Fair to find Staff of Domination, then cast it off their workshop. Which is not the card I would have per se gone for, but maybe they wanted to, like, they're still trying to bait. Like, they're like, all right, you got it. And, like, again, Zannty's going to leave up the 2 mana and be like, I got a counterspell, bud. What are you going to do about it? What they're probably going to do is gain some life off Staff of Domination and hope to draw their bomb. But I do think they're getting to a point where they need to probably cast something. Although at this point, can they cast Whir for, like, Golos? No, because Academy or Workshop is weird. It doesn't work well with this. So they're gaining a life, which does take them off lethal on the following turn, of note. All right, land is land. And honestly, how much do they cast this Whir for? They can cast it. Oh, you're jumping out of the game. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can cast it for 5. 5's the limit on it right now, which is pretty cool. 3, but they would have to pay
4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they can cast it. No, they can cast it for. Yeah, they can cast it for 5.
The debate here is you don't put it into play untapped. They don't. Okay. So my guess would be like Zannty does not go for the Burst Lightning line anymore.
Although is Jace plus Burst Lightning lethal? Because that's one more prowess trigger.
No, because you can't cast the Burst Lightning for 5 mana, which gives it 4 damage. It's kind of an awkward spot to be in with Jace. Like, I'm of the opinion like this bluff has worked really well for a while. All right, they're going to cast it main phase now. Okay. Well. Let's see what it's going to get. It could get a Golos, which gets the Academy, which basically
just activating Staff of Domination to tap the Merfolk Trickster.
Oh, I kind of like that, actually. If I'm on the other side, like, I'm probably pretty happy with that. Now you can get the Jace down, and they're tapped out of mana for the most part. Get the Jace down and top them, because right now I'd be like, you don't have shit, is what I would be thinking. We know that not to be the case, but, you know, I think I still like Jace topping them right now. Although I'd probably have played the land just to leave up a blue source in case I can Spell Pierce something. Or at least pretend I have Spell Pierce.
Okay, so Arctilla plus Burst Lightning is probably going to be lethal next turn.
I don't think that's a safe assumption, to be frank with you.
I guess the Staff of Domination can top the Merfolk Trickster again. Or even if it could top the
well, they're going to cast Whir. They're going to cast Whir here, right? I mean, like, Whir's going to get cast.
What could find the other Flux Reservoir?
Yeah, although at this point, I think there was a better argument to casting Whir first to find, not Aetherflux Reservoir, but to find, I can't think of it, Engine. Paradox Engine.
Paradox.
To generate mana off of your key and your Everflowing Chalice to use to draw cards with your Staff of Domination and try to get to a point where you can make infinite mana, like basically infinite mana with good draws off the top. If what this gets is Paradox Engine at this point, I think they just lose the game.
Yeah, because they don't have enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of this is artifact
so I guess it has to find Mystic Forge?
Mystic Forge? No, it doesn't do anything here.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess we'll see. There are cards they can get, but there's a lot of ways to build this deck. Leaving artifact mana open is not
like the thing is
really...
that now that you do not have a spell to give, right? Like, what are you going to be able to do with?
It's Ensnaring Bridge, but like you're not wrong. I mean, it's just not. Yeah, there's. I don't think there's a card in their deck that's going to save them from this spot. I do think.
I mean, they have another turn, right? They don't know that Zannty is nursing what is effectively 7 points of turn in hand.
I do not think that's a safe assumption. I think that's a bad assumption, frankly. Like, we've seen this deck just Price of Progress down at matches. Like, oh, they're losing. No, they're not. Price of Progress. You're dead. That's the issue you run into, right? Like, I don't think that was... And honestly, sequencing was very important here. Because if we had gone for... Because we had 2 artifact mana at the end there, right? If we had gone for the Paradox Engine and then played the key post-engine, then you get an untap of 4 mana, right? Which gives you access to 5 mana because Voltaic can untap the Everflowing Chalice, which gives you access to a card draw with Staff of Domination, which with the excess mana, maybe you can cast something. And then you can untap it again and keep on repeating, rinse, wash, repeat, basically. So there was a line to win. That was not the line to win. It's just kind of what it was at the end.
Zannty's like, don't even need to activate the Jace. Don't need it. I'm just going to attack you to death with my Monastery Sweep Spear.
Yeah.
And
honestly, like I think Zannty played that well. I like how they basically refused to use the Izzet Charm, refused to cycle through their cards, and kind of just honestly had a very strong bluff equity in a 2-mana counterspell throughout most of that game that fomented in a play pattern that was favorable to the resources they had available in their hand. I think it was a well played game.
Do you think it was correct from ADecay's side to just be like, here's to just be like, you have a counter spell, just counter this. To just play into that. But we know it was correct.
Yes, I do, because I think once you have access to Inventor's Fair, you have access to a secondary win con. And at that point, I do think you want to use Whir aggressively to find something that'll win you the game, while you still have not advantage on board, but you still have relative time. So if it is countered, then whatever card you get with the Inventor's Fair can be relevant on the following turn because you have 2 win conditions at that point. So I do think it's relevant and correct to jam into the one 2-mana counterspell that was basically represented throughout the game. That said, like, there's a couple things, right? Like, even on that last turn, like, ADecay still had a chance to win, but it was sequencing, right? It was play your Voltaic after you get your engine in play, because then you can generate mana and then use the staff to do the card drawing component of it. So, yeah, couple things. Both sides. All right, so was it Bribery cast this game? Ashiok. Okay, yeah. Splash Yak. There we go.
Splash Yak.
Makes sense. There's an Ashiok in play. I was like, where's the mind control at? Someone play Treachery in their deck? That'd be pretty sweet. I would love a Bribery or a Treachery. Probably wouldn't be good, but it'd be sweet. This is one of those game states where you really do have to take a look at it, though, because, like, so Avios on 0 cards. The Jit is what's most concerning to me, but it looks like they're trying to ultimate their Muyan, which could get there. Any 1-drop is going to be pretty good at this point, though. Like any 1 toughness thing with a clamp to be able to draw into a relevant threat to lock the Jit up on. Okay, well, that's something you can lock the Jit up on. It's also hard to interact with. But
do you want me to join in commentary, Marco?
Sure.
Hey, what's up, Zannty? How you doing, man? Is that you?
Yeah. I broke my 2-2 streak, so I'm happy.
I know, you're 3-1. You're 3-0 now.
I think honestly, like your strategic play today's been, I think, pretty solid. I liked. I'm assuming that you were trying to foment some bluff equity in a 2-mana counterspell. By the way, you played with the Izzet Charm there, not cycling it early.
Can you?
Which I thought was pretty. There's a couple of technical things, but I've been like, maybe untap land. I think the first matchup, you would have been probably a game-winning spot if you played the untapped land that fetches.
Yeah, that was. It came in tapped, and I was like, wait, this comes in tap.
Yeah.
Can you report the result on either hub team? But kind of need both players to do it, so that I basically, once one resulting in, I can confirm it by myself, but if both players do it, it's just automatic, and then I don't have to worry about whether the result is correct and all of that garbage. And
all right, is shit going to make a difference here? That's the question. So they can gain 4 off this up to 11. If they
can also kill this remorseful player.
I don't think that's all that relevant. I think they're going to have to. Well, I guess they can kill it and then gain the 4, but they're still dead to the board. They can also equip the Jit to. If they leave 1 counter on the Jit, they can equip it to the Sylvan Caryatid and block with it to get more counters on Jit.
Oh, they're going to sack here in response.
Yeah,
this is really good from them.
Block sack. Yeah. Makes sense. Seems
sensible. Is the match score 1-1 here?
I don't know. We have to look inside the. We have to look in the Discord chat. I don't know which for this one off your game. All right, so there's a.
What was the question? Sorry.
Is the match score 1-1?
I asked, but they haven't answered me.
Okay.
I can try to find out from the.
All right, so they rebanned this play. I think I would have let this resolve and tried rebanning the follow-up play just in case it's like a flyer or removal spell, but they may have a secondary counter.
I don't like the crack on the skull clamp here. I guess they can find a land. If they had a land in hand, then this is a better play.
All right, Arakasi is one.
I don't like skull clamping there. I kind of like just equipping Jit to the Sylvan Carriage instead.
No, they have to. There's 9 damage in the air. They have to do it. It's a forced play. So there's a 4/4 flyer and a 5/5 flyer.
Oh, there are no counters on this Jit? I thought there were 2 counters.
No, there's 0 counters on it because they sacked more players in response.
Okay.
Like, they had to do it. It was a forced line, but, yeah.
I just thought there were 2 counters already on the Jit.
Yeah, no, there was not. So, I mean, the line was a decent-ish draw, but, like, they had to hit, like, a removal spell. Was kind of it. So I would say the remand was a little aggressive. I probably would have allowed the dumbbell to resolve and then get sacked the clamp. Then see if I can counter, like, a Flicker Wisp or like a 3-mana, reaching 1/4 spider that makes more spiders and gains life.
You're remanding a 1-mana spell, which they, with them being tight on their mana this turn, is not as impactful as remanding whatever they draw from Skull Clamp.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess the counter. I mean, actually, there's not a lot of counter arguments to that. But yeah, I know you probably shouldn't have done it. But if they had another counter spell in hand, it probably doesn't matter. Probably just be one of those things where like face up your hand and be like, "Hey, bud, can you do anything about this?" Like, probably not.
Yeah, that red mage was low on time.
No, that's fair.
But,
fair enough. Yeah, I was like, reman. It probably didn't matter, but like, that's a Jit. So
Jit's good.
Yeah, it's not a bad magic card, especially against red deck wins. I think this is Aristocrats versus red deck wins, which in general should favor Aristocrats. But I'll tell you, like, red deck wins is one of those decks where, like, it doesn't tend to matter all that much. It's just such a good goddamn deck. Which is very, very good. I was playing Wolfgang earlier today with black-green, like, mid-range, which it's running Obstinate Baloth. So, I mean, it's got some life gain in it, right? And, yeah, I mean, it was still close. Like, I won, but, I mean, it was still closer games, than you generally expect. Just like, yep.
It's just red deck wins has so much reach in this format. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, no, their card pool is really deep of good playable cards, and like a lot of their good playable cards are printed at common and uncommon. So it's like, what are you gonna do? It is a hard deck to modulate. Price went up a point, but I don't think in general the power level of that deck has decreased. I think every new print run tends to give it something. It's kind of interesting because it's like if you want to how do I put it? Like equalize its power a bit. I think it's a challenge, right? Because it's one of those decks where, like, even if you do, like, then you're probably just making Storm better at that point, which is kind of like the other arm to that I don't want to say underactive. Like, red deck wins is a fairly interactive deck in general, depending on the matchup. But there's a lot of strong linear decks in the format, obviously. And they attack the game along different axes, so without sideboards, it's pretty tough to counter all of them. Speaking of which, this is a powerful 4-mana card, which this deck evidently runs. I think this might be the only 4-mana card, unless they're on Chandra today. And this is going to be a utter ranching. Kratz is not known to be a great matchup for red deck wins, but it's certainly winnable, as almost all of them are for red deck wins. But this is going to wipe the board more than likely. They could grow their Carrier Thrall to not have the board wiped and then gain 2. So why there was probably a significant argument to actually equipping that onto the Ophiomancer.
Ophiomancer.
Yeah, because it's a better one to save in general. I think I would save the carrier thrall too, because it trades generally pretty favorably with a lot of their threats.
I think the reason though he put it on the carrion thrall though is in case they have a removal spell. You'd rather this creature gets removed for the stop the JT counters than the.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's 100% fair.
That just dealt 4 and destroyed the JT.
Evidently
not wipe the board.
Evidently so. Yeah, they didn't want to wipe the board. Evidently. But they do have a pretty clean answer. They have clean answers to most of the threats on the board. They have Bone Crusher Giant / Stomp, which is pretty good versus the Ophiomancer. But they're always getting an untap, and they're not doing insignificant bits of damage either. So maybe they just want to get the damage over the top because they didn't plan on dealing with their creatures directly. They want to just fly overhead and do damage that way and try to burn them out from the air. Or burn them out in conjunction with some air power via the Phoenix. The way I feel like this falls apart is if their apparently 4-color Kratz list opponent has any form of interaction, there you go. The cards be good. It is killable via 2-for-1ing themselves.
They only have one other human on the backfield right now. Or is it? Am I reading the card wrong? Is it sacrifice any creature? Or sacrifice?
Oh, anything. Yeah, you just sacrifice shit, and they're gonna sacrifice the snake because it'll save the damage, so they can put a -1/-1 counter on the Phoenix. It'll save them a damage. They're gonna take a life loss, but they get a free draw off of it, and they get a free snake to block with as well on the next upkeep. Unless, actually they can't at this point. They can't burn the Ophiomancer out. It'll be triggered already, so they get their attack in for 5 here. But Yawgmoth on those cards, it's pretty hard down value. So they're gonna have to have some pretty significant draw steps. Price of Progress would be a game-winning draw step. Wouldn't win that turn. Actually, it would technically win that turn.
Price would win because you get the.
It would require the 1 damage off the Phoenix. We can price them down to 3 and then hit them with the slash. You'd be down to 1 mana. Actually, no, it would if they sack with the Yawgmoth because they put them on 10. You're not wrong. Yeah, so it would kill them directly. And I believe Wolf is on a Trip Moxen and 1 Price of Progress style build, which is not a bad way to go about it. I personally tended to go mine.
We didn't see a sack on the snake there, which is interesting.
No, maybe they didn't want to take the life loss. Maybe they thought that was more relevant. I think it's equivalent in the long term because they could shrink this Phoenix down. It's shrunk down, right?
Because they're taking 1 more from this Phoenix now, so.
Yeah, I mean they could be. I don't know. Yeah, I just think it was actually almost 100% correct just to do it that way, but it's fine. We'll play a little.
I'm trying to think of what card you get punished for doing it for sacking, and I just don't think there is one. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
No, you just don't.
It's you're sacking now to put a counter on it, which you could have killed it if you were doing this line, right? Stopped all the damage.
So they take the 1? Oh, they're not. They're gonna kill it now.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, now my guess would be we'll see a shock on the Ophiomancer to take away the engine component to the Yawgmoth.
I think it's going to be Stomp and then Hardcast Bone Crusher, probably.
Sure.
You just have a 4th.
I could honestly also see the Seasoned Pyromancer as well. I don't think that's an unreasonable way to go with it.
I like the Stomp because the Stomp or the Bone Crusher kind of blocks the Yawgmoth, although they can sack something to put a counter on it.
Yeah, they could. Yeah. They're going to take 3 off of doing that, but... All right, they're just going to sack it and draw. And counter it, which means that they are pretty much forced into a line where they just play out the Seasoned Pyromancer, which will draw them 2, make them 1/1/1.
It's not bad.
It's also a human of note, which is relevant because Yawgmoth can just attack through it. The draw was not the best. They really just want burn here. Creatures are not going to fight well against Aristocrats creatures. You just want to reach. And they just lost 1 of their creatures. Actually, they can cast this thing out And then in response to its trigger, sacrifice it to permanently exile the 1 non-land card in their opponent's hand and kill the Pyromancer token, which can block the Yawgmoth if they want to attack. Which I think is a pretty reasonable line, although I would have tapped the red mana here, personally.
Yeah, I kind of...
Well, they don't want to sack it. They want the body, I guess.
The body's fine. I guess the reasoning is if they remove it, then they're not removing your face usually, right? And the removal spell's targeting it.
I think if I'm in their position, though, what I'm most worried about, given my resources in hand, are burn spells. Pretty specifically. And I'd rather those permanently be gone than underneath a body. But that's just me. I mean, I don't know. That could be an incorrect way of looking at it. They have a pretty decent attack here, though. What they don't have in spades are good blockers, but you don't really need to have great blockers when you're on Yawgmoth. I mean, you should attack here. Like, you need to kill them. Like, I would attack with everything here. Attack with everything you can, because you can kill off their stuff. All right, they're just attacking with Yawgmoth. I don't think in general you want to play the waiting game against red deck wins. Like, I
think the reason they didn't attack with Dreadhorde, I think, is because the elemental just blocks it, and then you deal 1 to the face, which is probably fine. But
it actually doesn't. So, like, what you do with Yawgmoth is you just sack the Bloodsoaked Champion, kill the elemental pre-attacks or pre-blocks, and your Dreadhorde can trade pretty cleanly with the Pyromancer. Now, this is going to be kind of a ranching right here. This is a card that actually stops Yawgmoth pretty effectively. It's actually quite good, but it is a human cleric, so it doesn't block as well. Now they have to make the choice, do I want to just kill off this elemental token, which I think is honestly pretty reasonable. All right, they don't want to, definitely. I do think at this point, though, you start attacking with everything. You just start slamming them. Like, they've shown they don't really have all that much.
Although, if you slam now, aren't you just dead?
Well, look at their life total, too, right?
It's 7-7, but can't this Pyromancer jump in front of something? And then you have... I guess you...
Well, you could have killed the Pyromancer with one of your things, right? Your Eldrazi token. Which means they can't block 2 of it, and the others they kind of want to block. And the Dreadhorde trades favorably with everything, with the exception of the Phoenix. It's been recast at this point. You know, I don't know. You know, it's your choice, but I mean, I think you want to get him down low. I think you want to kill him. Like, I think I would have played this a lot more aggressively from the.
I would have played it more aggressively as well, but I don't think that at this point you can afford to attack all in.
No, you have to Village Rites at this point because the Phoenix specifically. You had a pretty decent attack before. That one's not bad. You can definitely jam that out. You can't cast that.
No. Nope.
Tapped. That's unfortunate. I don't think you want to get the Bitter Blossom going.
No, I do not like the Bitter Blossom because then...
I think you still do have a decent attack with Bloodsoaked Champion and Dreadhorde Arcanist here.
I think Bloodsoak is fine to attack with because if it gets blocked, then you just recast it, and it's not blocking anyways.
Well, you may not, because it's an activated ability, which is going to net 2 damage off the Harsh Mentor. But what my thing was more so is the Phoenix really can't block the Bloodsoaked Champion all that well. I mean, it can, but then the issue you run into is they have Dreadhorde Arcanist, which can just, like, you know, if it gets blocked as well, it can be popped to kill something. But I would have liked attacking with Dreadhorde Arcanist plus the Bloodsoaked Champion, personally. All right, they're just going to trade off here to make more bodies on the board next turn, unless they want to go for a pretty big attack, which they do have access to at the moment.
I think the Bitter...
Oh, that's right. That just doesn't work off board. Yeah, it's an activated ability. It doesn't work off board.
Is the Phoenix just lethal here?
Oof.
No. You can pump it twice?
It might be. They have enough mana to do it all?
Yeah, they have 6 mana.
Yeah. It costs 3, though, right?
It costs 3, and it gives +2/+0, right?
Yeah, it's lethal. Yeah, they got him, yeah. They just got him. Again, though, not a game I think you per se had to lose. I think you had some outs this one. You know, but it is what it is. I think a more aggressive line of play, forcing them to put more blockers in front of stuff, would have definitely put them on the back foot more significantly in this one. And they're going to go for it and get them here. which I think is a reasonable line of play. I mean, like, Kratz generally doesn't play as much removal. Like, if they're going to have anything here, it's probably going to be, like, Swords of Plowshare, Path of Exile, Abrupt Decay, maybe Trophy. Maybe. But that looks like a game win. Was that game number 2, I'm assuming?
It was game number 3.
Number 3, okay.
Yeah. They started a new match for
gotcha.
time. So.
Well, hey, but I have to roll. It's a little after 4 on my end.
Thank you very much for being here so far.
Yeah, glad to be here. I hope you guys enjoy your last round. And sorry I can't make it for the last round.
Yeah, no problem. Have fun with whatever obligations you're taking off for.
It's more on the other end of like obligations, and like I don't know, maybe I'm old, but obligations generally aren't as fun. But yes, I will. I'll do my best. Y'all take care now. Y'all take care.
I'll talk to you next week. Bye, Loman.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. In the meantime, while we wait for everybody to post their results in, let's. I think that was the last match for this round, as far as I know. So. We're waiting for people to post results, which is gonna be a 2-1 for WolfgangCloud. There you go, perfect. So we can advance to next round, and the pairings are going to be as follow. The buy is gonna be the person with the buy is gonna be Evios, who they feel like jumping in the booth. That's definitely super appreciated. If you want to join the booth, that would definitely help me not go insane. Yeah, we're gonna be watching a spicy finals between Blue Red Tempo and WolfgangCloud on Red Deck Queens. So yeah, it's gonna be a whole thing. Let me join with the competitive with the coverage accounts as necessary, and let's see how things are going. These needs to be watching WolfgangCloud. These needs to be watching Zannty, who is not streaming right now. For shame, Zannty, for shame. But the match is starting to be underway. So we're gonna be able to. It looks like Evios doesn't have a mic, which is unfortunato. We will. Let's go to the match. We will have WolfgangCloud's hand momentarily. Zannty's hand in the meantime.
Zannty there.
Oh, hey, Brahms. What's up?
Which is pretty good against mono red.
Oh yeah, the fourth bolt really ties the hand together, as it were. You probably and the true name Nemesis is also one of the best things that you can do. So that is definitely one that you're happy to have. Thanks for being here. That's definitely gonna help me.
I figured I'm playing a deck I can sort of multitask and play and commentate at the same time, if you don't mind.
I mean, look, honestly, I'm not in a position to complain. Loman left me, I'm just here by myself.
Yeah.
I forgot was Gosmith to be here, so he's not. It's just real unfortunate. Now I'm.
Yeah, this True Name Nemesis is going to lock down the ground pretty well.
Yeah.
Although it's not going to come out till turn 3. So
yeah, turn 3 might end up being too late, but on this turn actually. So Zannty has nothing to like. WolfgangCloud doesn't have a spell that can be spell starter spritten. So I guess Zannty is going to run out this Brineborn Cutthroat instead.
Yeah.
But Spell Spite is also a good one because it's a counter spell and that also blocks, right? Like that is definitely, those are both desirable thing. I mean, like counter a bolt, also block your idiot.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, and this we were talking about the match that where idiots abound. So
yeah.
Blocks the electronic tomato.
Give them the choice of whether they sack, whether
they ought not to. Which I think is correct. Like, this Brineborn Cutthroat is gonna grow out of range of things that it can interact with, right? Like, granted, that Zannty is gonna be like, cool, True Name Nemesis, and WolfgangCloud is gonna be like, but I wanted to attack.
But did this Eidolon, they're already down to 12.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing is that because Zannty is also a pop deck, we're not gonna see pop be like a good way for the red deck to just kind of close the matchup could be with a pop, but because Zannty's deck is also built to take advantage of pop, right? So we're not gonna see pop being terribly effective.
Yeah. But Zannty is probably on a couple non-basics, so
yeah,
could
Zannty plays
end up
some.
dealing 2 to 4.
Yeah. Most of Wolfgang's non-basics at least has the capability of sucking themselves, right? So, like, I think, I mean, I'm assuming he's on Castle Embereth. That's probably the one non-basic that he has that doesn't suck itself. Probably has Port, I'm guessing. Ponder is not what you want to be doing with an Eidolon on the field. This Eidolon needs to go away if Zannty wants to have any chance of winning. To be fair, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I believe Castle Embereth is the only one he can't sack of his own land. And sometimes Barbarian Ring. When
you don't have threshold.
Isn't online.
Right. So the Ponder is Enigma Drake, Merfolk Trickster, and the Royal Science, for what it's worth. And do you shuffle?
Royal Science in True Name is quite a clock.
It is, but you can't really afford to attack with the True Name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was correct to do what he did and go and shuffle. And he is rewarded here because he finds a Snapcaster Mage, which is going to flash back the Forked Bolt to kill this Eidolon. That's gonna be painful, actually. Maybe it's not worth to do it.
Yeah, the problem is this Eidolon
Yeah, this idol needs to go away, is the problem.
Yeah. Both decks very much play a curve that sort of stops at 3. So, either one very relevant in this matchup.
That's my point, right? The Snapcaster can kill the Eidolon, but now if you do that, you end up at 1 life.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, your opponent's top decking, but you don't know
die
that.
to...
Angel's Ravager, that's a hell of a draw.
That card has been one of the best additions to Mono Red of the past couple years because it just gets in for so much damage.
So, I mean, Dark Essence Automata just refills your hand super nicely.
Yeah, effectively gets in for so much damage.
Yeah, it gets in for damage by drawing you 78 bolts.
Yeah. You attack for 3.
Zannty has this line where they can go Mental Note, Snapcaster, Mental Note, and die.
That would be an impressive line, although I think you could make it more efficient using Gitaxian Probe.
You still have to Husk Gitaxian Probe from the graveyard, at least Ansible's considering it, but there is no way to just kill yourself with Gitaxian. No, actually, if you use life from the first cast of Gitaxian Probe, you can kill yourself when the Snapcaster goes on the stack.
Yeah.
Oh.
That should be lethal.
That's the game. This matchup is how do you describe it? Lopsided. Dog shit, I think is a good descriptor. Zannty is gonna have a real hard time.
Yeah.
Let's see these openers.
Not an impossible time, but a tricky time.
I mean, no matchup is impossible, right? But I think this matchup is pretty close to something like 70-30. Which is about as lopsided as it gets in Magic. It's pretty rare to go that much higher than that.
At a certain level of play. Once you start putting like really high tier decks against like decks that shouldn't be being played, then it gets more lopsided. But
assuming that nobody is playing is playing a pile of like steaming garbage, then
yeah. Assuming no one just cracked 4 packs and added lands.
Like, if you try to sign up for an event with like just like 100 slices of monster cheese in sleeves, then yeah, you're gonna lose more than 30% of your matchup. Also, kind of impressive.
If you turn up with 98 islands and a Jace for Mind Sculptor, you're probably not going to win.
Yeah, also because if you do that, your deck's not legal.
Oh yeah, I can't count.
Game loss every time. Very consistent.
Very consistent. I'd like to make it known just out of it being neat that I just cast a turn 2 Reality Smasher.
Nice.
Off of Mana Crypt and Mox.
Nice.
That's pretty nice. Got Mishra's Factory, Hellraiser. The next turn, do you reckon WolfgangCloud's just going to go like the Echo on Hellraiser, send it Hellspark Elemental? Or are you wanting to leave Hellspark Elemental until you can clip it second main phase?
Probably just slamming with it. Just get the 3-point scene when you can.
Fire Ambush taking out the Lavamancer here. Right, yes. This clique isn't going to be doing much with only one blue source on the field.
Yeah. I mean, isn't this deck has plenty of blue sources, and this click is gonna resolve it eventually. We'll see if eventually ends up being good enough. Ooh, ice.
To tap down Hellspark Elemental. That is something you like to see. Can still get the Skull Camp value second main if desired.
I love Fire Ice.
Potentially to draw a land. No, wait. Yeah, to draw a land to play out this Soulscar Mage.
Seems like Wolfgang's doing pretty all right then.
This matchup is aggressively lopsided. It's not one that's very easy for Zannty to win.
It's
how does a game go that has Zannty winning in it?
It starts with Zannty being on the play. He can, and then he basically needs to. Wolfgang needs to have a hand that's low on threats. Zannty needs to be able to answer the first couple threats and leave Wolfgang with just burn spell in hand, and then also follow up with something like a true name Nemesis or something to that effect. It's usually a hand like Zannty kept a hand that was almost optimal in game one. It had a Fort Bolt and the true name Nemesis in it and some other interaction, and it just wasn't enough.
Damn.
Like.
Notably, some of the drakes and such have full toughness, so can be relevant.
Yeah. Some of the drakes that Zannty has, like, you know, the crackling drakes and the enigma drakes of the wood can block pretty easily. The problem is that they're also expensive threats. Like, crackling drake costs 4 mana, right? Like.
Yeah.
And as you can see, having blue, red isn't even free with this Mishra's. Like, you know, you're playing Mishra's Factory Mutable, that sort of plan.
Notably, WolfgangCloud, the only creature land I believe he's playing is Mishra's Factory.
Oh, he's not on Mutavault?
He has opted not to play Mutavault or Frost something Bastion.
Bastion.
Yeah. Due to the reliance of hitting the red pips more reliably.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, his deck is chock full of cards that cost exactly 1 red. So it's a little bit more understandable that you want to go that route.
Yeah, I mean, it's like single red into double red into triple red.
Yeah, I mean, not so many of his cards, like, I think that, like, there's a fair number of cards that cost 1 and the red rather than red. But the thing is that most of his cards just cost red. That's it. Like, that's the...
Yeah. He's playing Goblin Chamber.
How did this Enigma Drake end up being a 1/1? Oh, it got... yeah, right. -1/-1 counters because of the Soulscar Mage.
It's kind of funny that you talk about the Drakes being a reasonable option for Zannty because they've got 4 toughness. And then
they stop having 4 toughness. This Chimera doesn't even have 4 toughness.
No, the upside of Trample is not the best for this particular matchup.
I mean, I think it's not the best period. The question is, how bad of an Enigma Drake are you willing to play? And the answer in Team's case is, we're willing to play one that is this bad.
Is Zannty willing to play, I can't forget its name, the Spear with First Strike and...
something Pike?
Runechanter's Pike.
Runechanter's Pike.
No, not willing to play.
Probably not. I'm gonna have to drop off country.
Alright.
So Wolfgang has a Bonecrusher Giant on it and an Adventure. 3 creatures on the board already. To Zannty's 1.
Yeah, Zannty is hanging on. He has he's still got 14 life. He has him put up a 3/3 blocker if he wants.
True. Or a 1/1 flying blocker. It must be a bit painful to draw their 3rd double blue spell there.
Yeah.
I've seen Wolfgang's been quite enthusiastic about the Lightning Phoenix.
From Zannty's point of view, you are hoping that you are given something like a 1-drop to counter on this turn.
Yeah. Looks like it's not going to happen though.
Nope. But you can still block with your 3/3 Mishra's Factory, so that part's fine. You don't need to deploy your anything this turn.
That's actually pretty reasonable for the 2 wizards on board. That seems like a kind of interesting attack. So hit Zannty down to 3. No follow-up.
So
because Zannty's almost got lethal.
A land there.
And Zannty has lethal.
Oh. Never mind, he didn't need to pick up a land. I lied.
Huh. It really did look like Wolfgang had that game more or less locked up.
Yeah.
I guess the Flame Rift does have a downside.
Yeah, it does for you. It forced them, but it also forced you.
Like if you're Wolfgang, do you Flame Rift there, or do you just get more threats onto the board?
I mean, against an like the opponent had a
they're
decent
playing
amount
red.
of pressure, so there is definitely is an argument that it's too risky to Flame Rift and that it literally kills them. If it resolves, like, that is... that definitely is an argument. I do not like this hand from Zannty's side. I think it might be necessary to keep it, but boy, do I not like it. Nah, you have to mulligan this hand. You can't interact with your opponent until turn 3. That is just unacceptable. Especially on the draw. Granted, the Wolfgang hand is rancid, but I could also see... No, okay, never mind. That's a Burst Lightning, so he could go, like... Turn 1 Electronic Tomato, turn 2 Eidolon, go.
I'm not sure if I've heard Electronic Tomato before, but...
Oh, did you not see...
Oh,
give me a second.
Maybe I did. I'm not sure.
Did you not see the Roswara Stone translation?
Oh, yes, that was it. Yes, that was a good one. So Wolfgang went to 6. Their 7 was not a good one. But Zannty kept this 7, obviously hoping their Thought Scour will get them there. And they drew an Impulse. So they've got a reasonable amount of digging power, but nothing that affects the board for a while. Which obviously isn't what they want to be against mono red. So I guess Zannty wants to scour into a red source and then maybe draw some cheap burn if they can. Because getting rid of the Eidolon's got to be the top priority. Does Zannty play any free counterspells?
I mean, I'm assuming he plays Force of Will and that sort of thing.
Well, there's a red source. Quality magic content from the Rosewater Stone. I do like the reminder text on the second ability.
You cannot do it.
Grim Lavamancer. The Grim Lavamancer feels like it would be excellent for this matchup if it ever stood a chance of
not immediately
untapping.
Yeah.
Though I'd imagine this Electrolyze will probably put in some reasonable work.
Yeah, I mean, they had this powerful if you resolve, but 3 mana is so much mana.
So I'm guessing this will be an Incinerate from Wolfgang before blocks. I'm going for the Burst Lightning. Does that mean that Wolfgang is intending to crack the Courier this turn? Or did they just want to keep the card with more damage on it in hand? Because I'd have thought with the Courier going, they'd want to spend all their mana so that next turn they can shock something, crack their Electronic Tomato, and then maybe cast another spell after that.
I think it's potentially correct to keep the option to crack it open, because it means if Zannty had sorcery speed removal for it, you could crack in response, like an Arc Trail or something.
Yeah, Arc Trail especially would be pretty good for that board.
And also damage to the Brineborn Cutthroat means 3 damage to face, opposed to the other one. So that 1 of extra damage could prove relevant at some point.
Yeah, I think I might have been thinking that they'd want to crack the courier in a more narrow timescale.
Yeah.
Does
Generally,
Zannty play Magmatic Sinkhole?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I believe they do.
Okay. I was
He's
just thinking
resolved
about...
it earlier today on camera, so that one I'm
Okay, cool.
positive of.
I was just thinking about ways of getting around the Eidolon.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good Ionize. Keeping
At
the
least
Lava
Ionize
Mancer
gets
alive.
to give it as well as it's taking it.
Yeah. Not particularly inspiring blocks available there.
Well,
Courier or nothing.
yeah. Notably, Green Lava Mancer is a human.
We see a 5th land, a couple of spells.
Yeah. What do you play out here? Tide.
Hmm.
Would appear that WolfgangCloud has gone for the outside golem.
Yeah,
Wait.
they don't have a great many
With
non-creature
Green
spells
Lava
in hand.
Master on top? That is crazy. You did it? It happened?
Apparently so. Ooh, Force Spike, not looking so hot on turn 6.
Well, you know.
I wonder why Wolfgang didn't play Wasteland last turn.
They'd already played the Ramonat Ruins as their land for turn, I believe.
Oh, they missed a land drop earlier.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
You kinda gotta do something about this clamp, right? You probably impulse in response?
Hmm.
Yes.
Opts for a
I would.
clamp. Opts for I guess that what this means is that the opponent's gonna pay for it, then they're gonna go to equip, he's gonna... Or not even... Oh, okay, he's just gonna...
Okay. Just spend both the soft counters to prevent them from equipping me at this turn.
And then kill... I don't know that it is... I don't know how much I like... I guess I do need to kill the 2-2.
Yeah.
That cannot feel good. You're 2-4-0 in yourself there.
Yeah. Would you say shock for Noble here, as it can grow?
You have to shock the Noble, yeah, because it's the one that can grow past past range.
Yeah.
Or, like, you will always be able to shock the other creatures. The Noble is.
The Lava Mancer's pretty good at dealing with this board, but you just
Going-
has to pray that
against
Wolfgang doesn't
burn.
draw a burn spell.
Got that ruins on deck, so they are dead.
Yes. Is Zannty playing Stifle?
They're playing Obstructionist.
Okay. In that case, yeah, I think ice seems pretty good there.
Could you to draw a card and not impulse to draw a card?
Yeah, I don't agree with icing on main phase. You should probably impulse main phase. Because then because you're gonna upkeep ice them, right? If that's the plan you're on.
Is Remnant Ruins only as sorcery?
No, it's an instant whenever. But it doesn't matter. I will do it now. Your opponent stopped.
So I know some of those lands like Shefet Dunes were only sorcery.
Wow, so, that's interesting. Oh, they have a land in hand. Okay, yeah.
But
yeah, I think Shefet Dunes and Hashepo. I think Shefet Dunes and Hashepoesis were the only two sorcery ones.
I think the black one was as well because it puts -1/-1 counters on something.
That was cool. That was the best one limited. I do not remember its name, and I'm feeling. What was it called?
If Near Deadlands.
If Near Deadlands.
Yes, it was a sorcery speed one.
It was a sorcery, but
just the ones that affect the board.
Definitely wasn't.
I mean, Ramanat Ruins affects the board. It shocks something.
It doesn't. It's only opponents. But
is it only opponent?
Yeah.
Just have to not activate the card.
Yes, it was much more on the opposite side of the table for me.
The only time I've played it today, in my 4 rounds, it was a mountain because I had a Blood Moon out. Blood Moon pretty good against 4-color Aristocrats.
Yeah,
and,
seems
I
pretty
believe
effective.
we have one more round going. One more match
going.
Yeah. Which is these thing.
I don't see one on mode.
Arakasi versus Einstein is apparently happening.
Oh, that might be because I had to boot my client halfway through my games. And it's not showing up.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's there, and Einstein's pretty behind on life.
How many cards does he have?
2. Just gone up to 3.
The thing is about Academy is it can just win out of nowhere.
Absolutely. I played against Einstein earlier today, and it doesn't matter if you can make a lot of creatures when they either the Flux Reservoir you on turn 5, I think.
Yeah. Notable addition for Academy in recent years has been self-creation.
Yes.
Been doing great work for Academy. Was that Ikoria that was in?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is an especially swingy one, unless I feel like it improves a lot if you can have ways to cast spells from places other than your hand.
Yes. But no, once Academy player gets a Song of Creation and a Paradigm, you're pretty dead. You don't know when you're dead, but you're dead.
At some point in the next 1 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. Obviously, the problem with no deterministic combo is it can take a bit of time to execute.
Okay, so Einstein's casting some spells, including Urza.
Einstein.
See, this is why I don't like playing this engine combo decks. You spend too much time figuring out how to win. It's so much more interesting to figure out how to not lose.
May I introduce you Monopox, a deck that cannot win.
And there you go.
Try not lose.
So see Healy into the Golem would be a pretty ridiculous line.
That's a good
Speaking of Song of Creation,
What does the sound of creation sound like?
A lot of yelling. Takes a lot of work to build a world.
That's what I've heard.
Gonna get some stuff revealed. Or is he going for J's here?
Notably, Song of Creation maybe disargue the hand of takes it pair quite well with Snaring Bridge.
Yes, it does.
The old bottled cloister synergy.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking going forward that Jace is going to actually be pretty decent if he does whiff on that Song of Creation. Just being able to kind of sculpt the top of your opponent's deck when they're basically hoping for a draw off the top with no cards in hand.
Yeah, but if you can't put a land on top, the Song of Creation can go past the amount of sculpting you can do with Jace pretty fast.
Well, as I was saying, if you use Saheeli's tick to... oh, never mind, the colon's gone.
Yeah.
Well, whatever Einstein wants to do, they need to do it this turn.
And in 6 minutes.
Yes.
The 6 minutes part probably not as hard, but 6 minutes is a good amount of clock.
To know that sometimes it takes more than 6 minutes. Although I think that's possibly because Carcinogenics likes to show off.
Yeah, like, I don't think that's Academy, I think that's Carson. You're talking about Carson.
Yeah. Notably, Gauntlet gets the land tapped. So, probably...
If you want to take a lot of game actions, play Academy.
No, you see, I am lazy.
So which combo deck has the fewest game actions?
Oh, easy. Time Vault. You show them the Time Vault and you show them the key and then they concede and it's fine, it's fine. Like, you don't even need to cast them. Sometimes you just, like, you show them from your hand.
Oracle can technically win with only 2 game actions.
That's true, actually.
And
in terms of the actual game actions you have, like, if you had to actually win the game with Time Vault, it would probably take, like, you know, it often takes something like 5 to 10 turns, and you dig in through your deck to find something that can kill them, some nonsense. But
some sort of Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah,
you can win playing Oracle at the minimum of 6 game actions. So
nice. I mean, I say nice.
I mean, it's nice for the Oracle players.
Yeah.
Is it the red deck of combo decks where you get to eat food between rounds?
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, it isn't, right? It's kind of like in the same vein as Vault, where it's like, it's a combo control deck. It has the capability of just being like, oh yeah, land, Oracle, drill away my library, attempt to draw a card, win. But it doesn't need to go that route. It's perfectly happy to win on turn like 7 or whatever after countering a couple of your spells, maybe tosses in your hand.
It's very similar to Splinter Twin in that way, where it plays the control role beautifully, but also just goes, this ends it.
Yeah, like, the combo serves 2 purposes in a deck like that, which is A, it gives you a way to mize wins against decks where normally your matchup would be really bad. Like against aggro decks, right? Like where normally you're like, oh, like where stabilizing the board is super hard, you can be like, oh, actually, I can just, fatal push your first couple like fatal push your first threat, cast down the second one, and then combo off and win. And which doesn't make your matchup necessarily good, but it does make it better. And it also serves in a position that against control deck, it does make your matchup against other control deck worse, but it puts them in a position where, like, if they top down, you put them in this scenario where like, oh, I actually need to leave in fear of the combo. Otherwise, the matchup is over.
It's also, I think, the only deck that loses 2 Ancestral Recall directly.
It does. Like, wait. Oh no.
Yeah, there was a game last season where I was playing Red Deck Recall and I had Ancestral in my hand while I was playing against Necro.
Can also happen to Hermit Druid decks, can't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
that feels like it would be quite satisfying.
I was just waiting.
Like Dredge at was a Hermit Druid patch, so and Sandy Bees and is one.
I think that was the last game we had for today.
That was the last game. Congratulations to WolfgangCloud for winning the first week of the new season, as he's wont to do. It's not exactly a new occurrence that we get Red Deck wins in the top table. That's something that has happened a couple of times. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So congratulations. I just. Oh boy, this overlay is certainly something. I did not see that comment. Hey, your overlay is sweet, okay?
It's very red.
It is very red. I don't know. I've been considering why. You know what?
Like a deep salmon.
Okay. Why do I hear echo? I had deafened myself in that call. I hate this so much. Either way. So I want to remind everybody that was watching today that if they want to join the Canadian Highlander action from the play tables instead of from the viewer, from the bleachers next week, they can type ! Discord. That's gonna get you to the Discord, to the official Canadian Highlander Discord, which we use as a base of operation. They can, you will get all the information that you need there. If you have no idea what Canadian Highlander is or could use a refresher, exclamation point Canlander will get you to an explanation video. Again, also people on the Discord will be like, oh yeah, this format seems sweet. What's it about? It is in fact super sweet, and you should absolutely look into it. Again, we run tournaments every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join us, your best bet is to join the Discord, but you can also type exclamation point next event. And that will get you to the sign-up poll for next week. As a reminder, thank you, Bailite, for the sub. If you wanted to sub to us, it would mean the world to us. We are... having access to a couple extra bucks help us doing things like having prize support for the season finals and that sort of thing. We just at the season final we gave like $100 worth of prizes to our winners, and a lot of it came from our subs. You know, if you have, especially if you have Twitch Prime, your Twitch Prime should go to someone, and if it's us, we really appreciate it. With that said, I am super ready to send all of you to somebody that is going to send you to raid somebody with your company. But sadly, it looks like none of the people that we usually raid are online.
Pre-release, like.
Yeah, they're probably at the PPR. Which
send people who like magic to see more magic.
Yes, so you see, the reason that I'm skeptical about sending people to the PPR is that they already have 2.4k viewers. So I'm thinking maybe I just send somebody to like a small channel and make the day of somebody that has like 5, you know, and make them very happy. But
I have a friend that's streaming right now. If you
are they streaming Magic?
They are playing in the SCG qualifier.
Oh yeah. Are they Seabell 77?
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's go there.
Nice.
You know what? Let's do that. So and again, thanks everybody for coming out today, and I'll see you on the other side of the raid. Bye.